We're underway. Connor Cummins away. Starter Luca Adrioni, our motorcycle marketing manager for Europe. The Dunlop there is Dean Harrison's away on the Silicon Engineering Kawasaki. Here's the Norton of John McGuinness. And now Ian Hutchinson, Honda Racing. James Hillier saves his best for the racers. And the yellow numbered Tyco BMW of Michael Dunlop out to the scoreboards he goes. Now listen to this. Michael Rutter is warming up. Gary Johnson away. Now it'll be Michael Rutter on the Bathams Racing Honda. Hear this off the line, flag drops. David Johnson on the Honda. And here's the 135 mile an hour man, Peter Hickman away. Here cheers and whistles as he went away there. No Lee Johnston. He's a late withdrawal on the Ashcourt Racing BMW because of mechanical problems, and there is a gap at 12 as well. So underneath that arch is Sam West on the PRL cyclestore.co.uk BMW. He's waiting for the tap on the shoulder, and it comes, and away he goes. Quickest off the start line are Hickman and Harrison. And away goes Philip Crow. Next it's Jamie Coward. He's had a brilliant week this week. Joined the big stars. Burrows Engineering's Derek Shields, number 16, is next to start. And now Big Sean Anderson on the BMW. Flag drops, away he goes. It's hard to believe this is only his second year. Here's Davey Todd on the Pens13.com BMW. And up at 19 is Rob Hodson, about to start. Last of the seeded riders now is Dominic Herbertson on the Davies Motorsport Kawasaki. Next away is 22, Brian McCormack. Just lovely hearing those bike noises fade away into the distance as Paul Jordan's away. RC Express Kawasaki. Stefano Bonetti is next on the Speed Motor BMW, number 23. And the Suzuki, the build-based Suzuki of Jay Lawrence, number 67, is 24th away. Number 60, Forrest Dunn, is next. Away there from Forest. Horst Seiger on the Yamaha is next, number 40, and he's safely away. So let's head out west to Glen Helen and Dave Christian.
First man out of Glen Helen, one now, flick to the right, tips it into the left-hander. That's Connor, gets to drive up, but he's being caught, and he's being caught very, very quickly by Dean Harrison. Dean Harrison will have Connor Cummins in his sights by the time they get along Cronkovody. And that means that there'll be a little bit of a gap now because Dino will have gone well away from John McGuinness on the Norton. And I can hear the noise of the engine coming up the valley now. It is building to a crescendo. The Silver Lady flies out of Glen Helen 1, flick to the right, down the box, tips that into the left-hander. drives away on up towards Sarah's, but John being caught from behind as well, because Ian Hutchinson now comes through, and Ian Hutchinson again closing in on John McGuinness. He'll get a look at him as well, I would think, along the bottom end of Cruncavody. Next man in, and flick to the right, and he comes out as Michael Dunlop sweeps through. He's being caught though, James Hillier. He's caught and passed James Hillier. Dunlop caught and passed James Hillier on the road, so James Hillier not off to a good start. Gary Johnson comes through. It is Dean Harrison, though, the quickest man here. Still 5 seconds ahead of Harrison. That is the sound of that RCV. Michael Rutter safely through on his opening lap. It's Harrison from Cummins at the moment. It's Davo Johnson through. He's being caught by Peter Hickman, and Hickman takes the lead. It is Hickman at the top of the leaderboard at Glen Helen on lap 1. Number 10, Peter Hickman leads number 2, Dean Harrison, by a third of a second. As we've seen last night in that qualifying lap at the end of the session, they were nip and tuck all the way around, just a few hundredths of or tenths of a second between them. And it is Hickman from Harrison with Connor Cummins in third. But those two are way quicker in that opening sector. Connor Cummins 5.6 seconds down on Harrison, who is just a third of a second down on Hickman. Not much in it between Cummins and Dunlop, though. Half a second between them pair, and a second further back for Michael Rutter. Little gap there where we had those non-starters, Lee Johnson and Derek McGee, and that noise you heard in the background was Sam West sweeping through on his first pass of this 6-lap race. And he's closely followed there on the road by Jamie Coward and Phil Crow. And Jamie Coward, as we've seen all week, is going a little bit quick around here this week. Jamie Coward, number 15, up to 8th place on this opening lap. Just tucks in a third of a second in behind 7th place Gary Johnson. 16 through now, Derek Shields. He's safely through, making his climb up towards Sarah's Cottage and the long straight along Cruncavody, where the rider gets to tuck in, have a little bit of a breather. 17 and 18 through there on the road. 18 a lot quicker though. Davy Todd 7th. Davy Todd 7th fastest on his opening sector. And 17 there, Sean Anderson. Cummins and Harrison at Ballaugh. Connor Cummins still has the lead on the road at Ballaugh Bridge, but Dean Harrison's closed right in on him now. They're virtually together. As 26 comes through here, that's Rob Hodson. So Harrison and Cummins down at Ballaugh Bridge already. 20 through, that's Dom Herbertson. Dominic Herbertson just inside the top 15, but not for long. Brian McCormick comes through now. Great qualifying time for Brian McCormick on the number 22 machine. 11th quickest here to Glen Helen on the opening sector. Harrison and Cummins, the only two now through Ballaugh just yet. 46, Paul Jordan. Great work this week. Dean Harrison now makes it to Ballaugh. Harrison leads Cummins by 9 seconds at Ballaugh, but we need Peter Hickman through to give you that full leaderboard. 23 comes through here, Stefano Benetti. Harrison, Cummins, Dunlop, Hutchinson and McGuinness now all through Ballaugh Bridge, just waiting for Peter Hickman to make up that leaderboard. Jay Lawrence through here at Glen Helen, number 67. Jay Lawrence, a great week for him, getting progressively faster every time he comes out. And James Hillier now makes it to Ballaugh, and won't be long before we see Peter Hickman. And Gary Johnson now makes Ballaugh Bridge as well. And there is Peter Hickman through Ballaugh, but Dean Harrison takes the lead. Dean Harrison now goes in front of Hickman at Ballaugh Bridge. There's only 0.2 of a second in it, though. Connor Cummins still holds on to third. He's 8.5 seconds down on Hickman. And number 6, Michael Dunlop, still a third of a second back on Cummins. And making up your top 5, number 9, Davo Johnson. He's 3 seconds back on Michael Dunlop. In the background, you heard David Jackson and Forrest Dunn coming through here at Glen Helen. Also Horst Zeiger through. And Xavier Denis, number 56, he's through here at Glen Helen as well. 31 comes through, Mike Booth. But the race is down at Ballaugh now. It is Dean Harrison who has taken the lead, so that's the first lead change in this 6-lap race. It was Peter Hickman here at Glen Helen by a third of a second. It's now Dean Harrison by 0.2 of a second. at Ballaugh Bridge. And Conor Cummins in third. He is 8.5 seconds down on Hickman. Number 6, Michael Dunlop, fourth. He's a third of a second down on Cummins. And at Ballaugh Bridge in fifth place, number 9, Dave O'Johnson, 3 seconds down on Dunlop. Back to you at the grandstand.
Pretty sure that Peter Hickman will have hit traffic there between Glen Helen and Ballaugh Bridge. Noticeable that he and David Johnson flashed up together. Chris Boyd, pretty quick.
The pace is hot. It's more than 5 seconds quicker to Ballaugh than it was in the RST Superbike TT opening lap. They were there at Ballaugh in 7:22 on that occasion. They're there in 7:17 today. 1:33 laps from a standing start potentially.
Yeah, additional non-starters. Haven't got time to give those. Let's go to Ramsey Hairpin, Roy Moore.
Yeah, Glenn Irwin here at Ramsey Hairpin, waiting to commentate on this battle between Dean Harrison and Peter Hickman again. We can take the earphones off. We haven't as yet heard them down Lazaire Road, but we can certainly hear them coming out of Stella Maris, and that is the case, and it's Dean Harrison who has got the lead on the road. Dean Harrison leads on the road at Ramsey Hairpin by Conor Cummins. Flames coming out of that exhaust off the Honda machine as he gets round. Very good photograph that, if anybody captured it, but they're certainly well through. But as we, same as Dave at Glen Helen, we've got to wait for the arrival of Peter Hickman here at Ramsey, and that will be a reasonable amount of time. Just time to say that Connor's granny's cake has arrived up here at the hairpin, has been consumed by the marshals and the commentary team, and many, many thanks for that lovely letter that you put in the contribution as well. We will get the knives back to you shortly, but it's John McGuinness who should be next here at Ramsey, dropping more time on the run in here to the hairpin, and certainly probably be struggling now to keep ahead of Ian Hutchinson, because there is number 3, John McGuinness on the Norton. Michael Dunlop really gets the back end hanging out into Ramsey, and he's passed Ian Hutchinson. He's going to pass John McGuinness, and here's James Hillier now doing exactly the same. Well, there will be rubber down after this six lap Dunlop sponsored race here at the TT 2019. Big sweeping exit. That's not Peter Hickman, but he won't be far away. That is David Johnson, number 7 Johnson, but here is Hickman, and he's still leading, but it's down to 0.118, a fraction of a second. Michael Rutter is the bike here. There is David Johnson now through. It's Peter Hickman here at Ramsey Hairpin, but only a fraction of a second ahead of number 2, Dean Harrison, who in turn is now 11 and a half seconds ahead of Conor Cummins. Conor Cummins in turn is virtually nothing ahead of Michael Dunlop, 0.024, 24ths of a second, or whatever they describe it as. That is the difference, virtually nothing, that Michael Dunlop, number 6, holds on to 4th place. In 5th place, number 9, David Johnson. He's 4.5 seconds down on Michael Dunlop. And 6th place for number 8, Michael Rutter. He's 5 seconds down on David Johnson. In 7th place, number 7, Gary Johnson, 3 seconds only down on Michael Rutter. And then Sam West could come into the equation. He could bypass a few, and that certainly appears to be the case, because it's 8th now. There he is, into Ramsey, number 13. Sam West, he goes into 8th place, 5 seconds down on Gary Johnson. But Jamie Coward is another one who could zoom up there amongst them if his performances so far this week are to be taken. And Jamie, number 15, is here at Ramsey now, and he moves into that 8th place, just 1 second down on Johnson and only 3 seconds ahead of Sam West. That was Philip Crow that you heard in the background going through. So Jamie Coward on the move, 1.8 seconds down on Gary Johnson, but certainly that is the position here at Ramsey. 11th place for number 5, James Hillier, 2 seconds down on Sam West. 12th for Ian Hutchinson, 13th John McGuinness, 14th Philip Crow. They have made the bungalow. Dean Harrison has gone through the bungalow. Conor Cummins through the bungalow. 3 seconds on the road now is the difference between them. So Dean Harrison in no way will be held up, but Sean Anderson is safely through Ramsey Hairpin. There he goes, and it's Davy Todd who moves up into 7th place now. Number 18, Davy Todd, just a fraction of a second down on Michael Rutter in 6th, but holding on to only a 3-second lead over in 8th place, number 7, Gary Johnson, with Jamie Coward only 2 seconds down on Gary Johnson. Brian McCormick moves up to 10th. That puts Sam West on 11th. James Hillier 12th. Ian Hutchinson 13th. John McGuinness 14th. Dominic Herbertson, he's through. Dominic Herbertson, 15th place for him, but only half a second down on John McGuinness, so that could change on the mountain climb. 16th place for 14 Philip Crowe, half a second down on Dominic Herbertson. Then Derek Shields is in there amongst it, 2.5 seconds down on Philip Crowe, with in 18th place 17 Sean Anderson. 19th, there's Paul Jordan now, just comes onto the board. We can tell you he's holding on to 19th place, is number 46 Paul Georgian, but he's only 0.2 of a second down on Sean Anderson. Through the bungalow, just got to get Peter Hickman through. Peter Hickman is through the bungalow, he's pulled a bit of time. It's 1 second. 1 second the lead for Peter Hickman through the bungalow over Dean Harrison. Connor Cummins still third from Michael Dunlop, but only by a second. Back to the grandstand.
Well, Peter Hickman and Dean Harrison, part 2 in a senior, it seems, here on the Isle of Man. And Chris Boyd, this is phenomenally quick with the lack of qualifying time that we've had for an opening lap from a standing start.
Incredible stuff. They are, over 10 seconds faster to the bungalow than they were on the opening lap of the RST Superbike TT. This is a 1:33.7 type pace from a standing start. Absolutely incredible.
It certainly is. Peter Hickman then leads by just over, and fractionally it is, of a second. And number 10 leads number 2, Dean Harrison. Then there's a gap of 12.7 seconds, and the light is on for number 2 at Cronknamona, Dean Harrison, and for number 1, Connor Cummins. Michael Dunlop and Connor Cummins, the battle for 3rd and 4th at the moment. There's, I think, been at no time more than a second between them. And it is 0.8 at the bungalow that Cummins has the advantage over Michael Dunlop. That's about as big as it's been. 134 we now think we are looking at for this opening lap, based on the time of Dean Harrison to Cronknamona. So a phenomenal opening Dunlop Senior TT lap here. And we now wait for Dean Harrison to come into view and scream past the grandstand here. And we'll let you know exactly just how quick it's been and what the gap is. Can hear a bike approaching at very high speed indeed. Here he is, Dino. And it is 133.992 miles per hour for Dean Harrison. Incredible speed for an opening lap of a Dunlop Senior TT. Fantastic stuff. Connor Cummins 14.2 seconds down. We await, of course, to see Peter Hickman, and there he is. Peter Hickman still leads at Cronknamona. It's 1.4 seconds that Peter Hickman has an advantage at Cronknamona over Dean Harrison. Now, McGuinness has stopped at the bungalow, we're hearing. McGuinness stopped at the bungalow, but not a retirement as such yet. But here comes Michael Dunlop on the Tyco BMW. You can see the helicopter circling overhead, and Dunlop's about to emerge into view. Can hear it. Here he is. Crosses the line. Dunlop at 132.024. Connor Cummins 132.130. So we've got Ian Hutchinson and James Hillier, and just behind them will be Peter Hickman. Here's Hutchinson. Here's Hillier. We await for Hickman. What's Hickman going to do? Here he is. Hickman crosses the line, and he's 2.2 seconds ahead. And it is 134.284 miles per hour from a standing start. Unbelievable opening to this Dunlop Senior TT. Hickman leads. What a great dice that was across the line with David Johnson and Michael Rutter. And sandwiched in between Rutter and Hickman, we've seen Gary Johnson across the line. David Johnson at 130.98 as well. So Connor Cummins is just 0.8 of a second ahead in third of number 6, Michael Dunlop, in fourth. So that battle has raged between Connor Cummins and Dunlop. I can tell you, unfortunately, John McGuinness, our 23-time TT champion, has retired up at the bungalow on the Norton. And also a retirement out at Kurt Michael at Douglas Road for number 66, Anthony Redmond. So it's Hickman and Harrison part 2 in the senior race on the Isle of Man. Peter Hickman is 2.2 seconds ahead after the first of 6 laps in this heavyweight contest. the bike into view, and that was Sam West, and he's gone at 128.36. So Peter Hickman 134.284 miles per hour on the opening lap, 16 minutes 51.495 seconds around the 37 3/4 mile TT mountain course. He's 2.2 then ahead of Dean Harrison, 133.992 for Dean Harrison. Connor Cummins 132.130. He's 14.2 seconds down on Harrison, but he is vitally 0.8 ahead of number 6 Michael Dunlop, who is in 4th. Dunlop 132.024. 5th is the Honda of David Johnson, number 9. 6th, number 18, Davey Todd. 7th, number 8, Michael Rutter. In 8th, and riding really well on the Yamaha, is number 15, Jamie Coward. And 9th it is for number 7, Gary Johnson, as Sean Anderson can hear his bike disappearing towards Bray Hill. And in 10th is number 5, James Hillier. Then it's Sam West, Ian Hutchinson. Well, Brian McCormack is now up into 10th, number 22 on the BMW, 128.538. 2.2 between Hickman and Harrison. Dave Christian.
Yeah, just in time. Here's Dean Harrison now tipping it into the left-hander. Knee well out to the left, and Connor not quite able to tuck in behind him. I think Dino's just pulling away from Connor now. A little bit of a gap stretched out to them between them on the road, and the difference on corrected time is Harrison is 16 seconds ahead of Cummins. We're going to speculate a little bit here. James Hillier is catching Michael Dunlop on the road, even though on corrected time he's down a little bit. We think he may have overshot somewhere. Maybe Braddon Bridge, maybe Ballacrane. But James Hillier is still going at full race speed, but a little bit down on adjusted time, and just probably outbraked himself somewhere into a corner of the slower corners. But it is just Dean Harrison kind of coming through here at the moment. Michael Dunlop should be the next man on the road. There is a camera helicopter buzzing around overhead, so he can't be too far away now. And indeed, a bike flies out of Glen Helen 1. It is the number 6 Tyco of Michael Dunlop. And he's now 3 seconds behind Connor Cummins. It was just 0.824 of a second, 0.8 of a second at the grandstand. It's now 3 seconds here at Glen Helen. So Connor just pulling away from Michael Dunlop. Here's Peter Hickman now, and Hickman continues in the lead. The gap has shrunk a little bit, though. Just take these through. James Hillier and Ian Hutchinson both through here now. Peter Hickman leads Dean Harrison, that's number 10, leads number 2 by 1.8 seconds. It was 2.2 at the grandstand, so Dean Harrison clawed back 4/10. Dave O'Johnson, Michael Rutter and Gaz Johnson all safely through on their second lap, and just 2 seconds, really 1.8 seconds between Hickman and Harrison, and we've got pits at the end of this lap, and that advantage may grow or shrink depending on how the pit stops go. Connor Cummins, though, number 1, at 3rd place here at Glen Helen on lap 2. He is 16 seconds now adrift of Dean Harrison, but he's starting to pull away a little bit from Michael Dunlop. The one to watch out for probably is James Hillier. He is quick enough to be in that top 3. He's obviously had some sort of a glitch on the first lap, which has pushed him down the leaderboard a little bit. 11th place through the grandstand, but he is making time. At the grandstand, Hillier was 11th place, and he was behind Gary Johnson about 3.5 seconds. That's down to 2 seconds now. So James Hillier on the charge, back up the leaderboard. Next man comes into Glen Helen, and that was number 13, Sam West. He is just ahead of Hillier on corrected time, but like I said, James Hillier on the charge. Only a second between them on corrected time. Jamie Coward through now. What a great week Jamie Coward's had. Number 15 up to 7th place here at Glen Helen on lap 2. It is still low. Peter Hickman and Dean Harrison continuing that battle where they left off from the senior last year, to be fair. 2 more machines now into the left-hander, 14 and 14 and 18. Davy Todd, what a race Davy Todd's having. Number 18, Davy Todd, 6th place at the grandstand. He maintains that 6th place here. He is 6 seconds clear of Michael Rutter. That was 3 at the grandstand, so Davy Todd on a flyer. 16 through now, Derek Shields. The other bike through was Phil Crow, both safely through on their second lap, making their way up towards that long straight at Cronkervoddy. And we'll have a little look up the road at Ballaugh Bridge, because the leaders won't be too far away from there now. They'll be flying down towards Kirkmichael and making their way towards Ballaugh Bridge. In fact, Harrison and Cummins now both through Ballaugh, 17 through. Sean Anderson, a little bit of a spin from the back wheel as he gets the power on, but no dramas for him. Brian McCormick through, and number 20 as well, Dom Herbertson, all safely through here. Michael Dunlop now at Ballaugh. The gap between 3rd place Cummins and 4th place Dunlop has grown. 3 seconds it was at Glen Helen. It's now 4.6. So Connor just pulling away from Michael Dunlop. And Peter Hickman now makes it to Ballaugh, and the gap, 1.8 seconds it was here, it's now 1.9, so just a 1/10 of a second between them. Hickman claws back a 1/10, and 2-second gap is next to nothing when there's pits at the end of the lap. James Hillier now through Ballaugh. He is definitely catching number 6, Michael Dunlop, on the road. On adjusted time, though, he's a little bit behind him, but like I said, Hillier is on the charge. And flowing through Ballaugh now, stream of them, Ian Hutchinson through, Gary Johnson through, Michael Rutter through, and Davo Johnson as well. Davy Todd is the man that will be threatening that top 5, number 18, and started in 18th place. Lap 2 at Glen Helen, he was up to 6th, so that's a fantastic start from Davy Todd. The leaders at Ballaugh Bridge, though, a quick top 5, leading number 10, Peter Hickman. He has a 2-second advantage over number 2, Dean Harrison. In 3rd place, number 1, Connor Cummins, 18 seconds down on Harrison. In 4th, number 6, Michael Dunlop. He is 5 seconds down on Cummins. And the top 5 is made up with number 9, Davo Johnson, 12 seconds back on Dunlop. Back to you at the grandstand.
Peter Hickman, quickest at Solby, 192.8 miles per hour at the speed trap. Some retirements to bring you. Rob Hodgson and Paul Jordan, numbers 26 and 46, retired at the pits, as did number 23, Stefano Bonetti, and Paul Potchy-Williams has retired, number 58, at Joey's, and another klaxon sounding. We're on 135, bordering that sort of area for this lap. They are going to have to scrub off the speed, of course, when they come in for their first of 2 pit stops, and all could be won and lost in the pits today for sure. Let's go to Ramsey Hairpin. Roy Moore.
Yeah, Glenn Irwin was useless. He's been sacked. Roy Moore's back here now getting the information that will be coming through with only virtually 2 seconds in it. Here's Dean Harrison at Ramsey. Spot on timing, number 2. Be a tyre change and fuel. Just takes a little bit longer to get it on the power. Connor's here now. Connor Cummins into Ramsey. Tight to the inside, same immaculate line from the big man, and he too away and gets the power down. No danger of damp patches on the escape from Ramsey today, but at the Ballaugh it was that 1.9. We've got a bit of a wait now before we got anybody else through. Just time to announce that with Daniel Crossley in the box, we've got celebrity, really, because his granddad, Don Crossley, not only is down among the listed 1,122 winners round the TT Mountain Course, winning the 1948 Senior Manx Grand Prix and the 1950 Junior Manx Grand Prix. Uncle Richard, a big mechanic in his day and certainly helped a lot, and Father Peter is into cheap flights. It's the first time I've ever known that he was interested in darts. Next machine interview now should be Michael Dunlop down here. Here he is, Michael Dunlop down through the box. Gets the back end, not quite as much hanging out as the last time, but he's through. But it's Peter Hickman we're looking for. What is the difference between Hickman and Harrison at Ramsey? I can tell you it's 3.5 seconds, because Peter Hickman is here now, and he's 3.5 seconds, so he's picked 2 seconds up on the run, and no danger of Peter Hickman not getting there. He had to roll it back slightly to miss that little outcut that comes there, just on there, whereas Dean Harrison was a little bit slower getting away from the hairpin. Certainly not the case with Peter Hickman, and that is reflected in the fact that he's leading this race by 3.5 seconds. There's James Hillier well, they say he might have had an overslip somewhere. Remember last year, Peter Hickman round the oak tree at Braddon Bridge and still won. Here's Ian Hutchinson now, getting a nice steady run. Just not quite on the pace on the exit there, but certainly there's Michael Rutter. He's through as well. Michael Dunlop, Connor Cummins out to 5.5 seconds now. There's Johnson. David Johnson through, should be the next. Yeah, there's David Johnson through, and ahead of him I think we did see Ian Hutchinson going through, and Gary Johnson and James Hillier are all safely through, but at Ramsey Hairpin it's Peter Hickman by 3.5 seconds from number 2 Dean Harrison. Connor Cummins 20 seconds we'll say down on Dean Harrison in third place, but holding on to a 5-second advantage in fourth, number 6 Michael Dunlop. He in turn is 14.5 seconds ahead off in fifth place 9 David Johnson, who in turn has a 17-second advantage over in sixth place number 8 Michael Rutter. It's then in seventh place so far of those that have gone through, number 5 James Hillier, 12 seconds down on Michael Rutter. Within eighth place, number 7, Gary Johnson. He's only a fraction of a second, 0.257 down on James Hillier. So James Hillier appears to be making the pace there as well. And Ian Hutchinson through in number 4. Ian Hutchinson through in ninth position here, but we've got to wait the arrival of Jamie Coward and one or two others that will probably make a difference to that here at Ramsey. And certainly Jamie Coward looks as if he's fighting for seventh place at the moment. He's 3.5 seconds ahead of Hillier and down on Michael Rutter. But Davy Todd could alter all that. I think he was sixth at Belaf Bridge, and certainly he can't be too far away. There's Lee Johnston through. Just checking on that. It's Davy Todd, sixth place. 10 seconds down on David Johnson, but 7 seconds ahead of Michael Rutter. I think we've mistaken one there going through, but Sam West is through the bungalow. Go Dean Harrison, number 2, and Connor Cummins. 20 seconds the advantage there. Puts Ian Hutchinson down into 14th place, but he might be overtaken by one or two others, but no change at the top as we announced. Only the fact that Davy Todd has moved up into 6th, 9 seconds down on David Johnson, 7 seconds ahead of Michael Rutter, and then Jamie Coward, who's 8 seconds ahead of Michael Rutter. But in 9th place, Brian McCormick comes into the equation. 9th place for him, Brian McCormick, only 2 seconds down on Jamie Coward, but only 1 second ahead of James Hillier. There's the bungalow timing. Peter Hickman is through. The lead has gone out to 6.5 seconds. 6.524 seconds that Peter Hickman breaks the beam up at the bungalow. The lead now for Peter Hickman over Dean Harrison, 6.5 seconds. Connor Cummins, 20 seconds down on that battle, so only 1 second dropped by Connor on the climb to the bungalow, so that's going well. And Michael Dunlop, well, that increases Connor's lead over Michael Dunlop now to 6 seconds. And then James Hillier has just broken the beam up there at the bungalow. Number 5, James Hillier, but he's 47 seconds down, and that could change with the arrival, and it just has, of David Johnson, who's safely through the bungalow now. 16 seconds down on Michael Dunlop, but 31 seconds ahead of James Hillier. The road goes quiet at Ramsey, but certainly it won't be quiet in pit lane, where they'll be doing all those tyre changing and refuelling. Back to the grandstand.
Peter Hickman, 134.8 bungalow to bungalow on this lap. But he is, of course, going to have to slow down. Dean Harrison light on for number 2 at Cronknamona. And he's certainly broken away from Connor Cummins. 22.2 seconds is the gap between Harrison and Cummins at Cronknamona. And, well, we've just got to wait for Hickman, but he's done it at the mountain section again, from Ramsey Hairpin up to Bungalow. Now, we do have some retirements. Davy Morgan retired in the pits, and Charles Rees Hardesty has retired as well. So, Harrison will be coming on to Glen Crutchley Road very shortly. He's got to come into the pits, and there's real pressure on the guys on the fillers down there in Gasoline Alley. This could be absolutely crucial for either one's chances, but it certainly looks like it's a Hickman-Harrison battle, and Harrison's on his way, slowing down to come into the pits, and here he is. He's slowed quite a bit. He's got to make sure he doesn't go over the 6 kilometre an hour, 60 kilometres, 133.5 down to Chris.
Yeah, he's gone about going back to Cronk Pneumonia. Yeah, Dean Harrison is into his pit box there now. There's Connor Cummins in on the number 1 bike also. The Malenko Padgett's bike stops right there. There's a bit of duct tape just at the back there. Hickman at Cronk Pneumonia, 6.940. That's the official gap. Peter Hickman, number 10, leads number 2. Dean Harrison, 6.940. Then Connor Cummins, 22.2 back off him. And then Michael Dunlop, provisionally 4th at the moment, 6.239. So the screen clean for Dean. The rear tyre's already been sorted out. It's just the fuel they're waiting for now. A new slick tyre gone in the back of that there now. They're just waiting for that fuel to come up to the brim. Who's going to get out in front? Who's going to be the quickest on the pit stop? He doesn't want to be held up by Connor Cummins, which probably won't be, but Dino's away. Struggling to fire up to the silicon bite there, but she got going. And Connor Cummins is still here now. The gap, and they came across the line, was 21.177, but it's Hickman we're waiting for. The klaxon goes in the background. Connor off like a scalded cat, but then the rev limiter just kicks in. You hear the Honda just burbling away, and here's Michael Dunlop on the yellow plate at number 6 bike. Michael in 3rd at the moment, 5.4 back off Connor, so he's got a little bit of time back, and Hickman leads across the line, Tim, 8 seconds.
It certainly is, and it's 134.281 miles per hour, slowing to come into the pits. Very leery coming to the pits from Michael Dunlop.
8 seconds it was between Hickman and Harrison and Cummins and Dunlop, and there's only, 34 seconds covers the top 4. Coming through in 5th place through Cronk Pneumonia's Davy Johnson, 17 seconds back off Michael Dunlop. Then Michael Rutter, 20 seconds back off Davy Johnson. Then Hilliard Johnson, Gary Johnson and Ian Hutchinson. The klaxon goes again. We're right opposite where Peter Hickman is on the number 10 bike. The Smiths team very, very calm and relaxed. We can see Hilliard coming in. What happened to him on the first run out? Michael Dunlop still in the pits at the moment, so Michael possibly losing a bit of time there now. The rear stand has just come out of his machine. Hickman's rear stand out as well, gets a push away, and he's got Michael Dunlop. Has he got ahead of him? He hasn't. Michael Dunlop and Hickman exit together, and Michael Dunlop's just ahead of him. Hickman pulls to the left, and I think Hickman there has just got ahead of him as they go underneath the Monster Energy Bridge around the top of St Ninians there. Gary Johnson now in. Gary in about 7th place, but moves in the pits there now. We've got Michael Rutter, number 8. We got number 5, Chris Hilliard, and number 7. Go ahead.
I think Michael Dunlop, from our view here, he looked back and he let Hickman through. He let him through. Really gentlemanly there from Michael Dunlop.
So after the pits, it's number 10 from the... yes. Okay, so it's 9 seconds between Hickman and Harrison. Let's look at the pit stop times. Harrison 55.9, Cummins 54.8, Dunlop 59.2, and Hickman 54.7. Here's Michael Rutter. Michael Rutter is in and out. Good work, Tim O'Hanlon again. Wow, listen to that RCV come through. Here's Hutchie. Hutchie's through at the moment, running around about 13th place on the number 4 Honda. Because look, he's having a good day at the office. He didn't look really keen at the start, did he? Number 7 and 4. So there's Gary Johnson away. Hickman leads by 8 seconds across the grandstand line there, 8.067, and Connor Cummins, he's in 3rd, 21.1 back. Then it's Michael Dunlop, Michael Rutter, James Hilliard, Gary Johnson and Ian Hutchinson, all your top 8 at the moment. This could be Jamie Coward. It is Jamie Coward into 6th position, only 8.8 back of Michael Rutter there, but it can all change after these pit stops. They're all pretty good on time, but another cracking stop there by the Malenko Padgett's team. Wow, brilliant. 54.8 for them and 54.7 for Hickman. Here's Davy Todd. Davy Todd, 5th place in the senior TT, Tim Glover.
Yeah, what a performance. And Davy, 129.59 for that lap.
Here's Big Phil Crowan as well. Phil running in 10th place, so inside the top 10 for Big Phil. Hutchie's off the bike, unfortunately, so it looks like a retirement for Ian Hutchinson. So, yeah, well, I'm sure he will be back bigger and stronger next year. Sam West is now in. Sam in 11th place at the moment. So it's 10 Hickman, 2 Harrison, 1 Cummins, 6 Dunlop. Then it's 18 Todd, 8 Rutter, 15 Coward, 5 Hillier, 7 Johnson, Chris, 14 Phil Crow, your top 10. Tim.
Just to let you know, David Johnson, the other Honda rider, it's bad news all round. He's retired at Bedstead.
That's disappointment for him after his success yesterday. Jamie Coward just struggling to get the R1 lit up. There she goes, Brian McCormack in. And Brian McCormack, number 22, the big Southern Irishman, he's inside the top 10 in 8th position, so he's gained the place there. McCormack, number 22, in 8th place, only 4.7 back off Jamie Coward as Sean Anderson comes in. And Sean Anderson, 17th position. We got down to the top 10. Gary Johnson completes at number 7. Then Dom Herbertson, number 20, he's in 11th place. And it's 14 Phil Crow, 16 Derek Shields, 17 Sean Anderson, 13 Sam West, number 4 Ian Hutchinson, who we know is out to Glen Helen. Dave Christian.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. Just waiting for the first man on the road now. The crowd stir as a machine flies out of Glen Helen 2, flicks to the right, down the box, into the left-hander. That's Dean Harrison. No dramas at all there for Dean. A perfect line, as he has been all week. Never had any sort of issues around here. Here's the big fella, though. It's the big man from Ramsey, Connor Cummins. Nice steady ride from Connor there. Going into the grandstand, although they were all slowing down for that pit stop, 5.4 seconds, Connor's advantage over Michael Dunlop in that battle for third place. Connor with the advantage, though, so far. And looking at the lap 2 there, we had Dean Harrison and Peter Hickman. The gap between them at Glen Helen was 1.8 seconds. By the end of the lap, it was 8 seconds. So if you're going to find anywhere where Peter Hickman has put in a massive effort to try and break the gap between him and Dean Harrison, it was on lap 2 in the sectors from Glen Helen onwards to the grandstand. Like I said, he's done 6 or 7 seconds there, and Dean Harrison not been able to respond. Fantastic effort from Peter Hickman. And now some machinery does come out of Glen Helen 1. It's moving pretty fast too. It is Peter Hickman. Closely followed on the road by Michael Dunlop, and they're both through here, and Hickman's lead is now 10 seconds. Number 10, Peter Hickman, leads number 2, Dean Harrison, on lap 3 by 10 seconds. Third place is number 1, Connor Cummins, 21 seconds back. That gap's consistent with when they went into the grandstand. And in fourth place, number 6, Michael Dunlop. He is 11 seconds down on Connor Cummins. So I think Chris and Tim were right there in pit lane. Dunlop losing a little bit of time there in Gasoline Alley. Brian McCormick, yeah, fantastic ride. We've been following him. Started at 21 and up into 8th place on the entry into the grandstand. Fantastic ride from Brian. Another guy to keep an eye out, Mike Booth, number 31, started 47th. And we'll just take James Hillier through here. Doesn't appear to have any problems. The bike sounds fine. There were no sudden twitches or movements as he got on the anchors. Next man in is Mike. As you can hear that RCV, very distinctive noise, and Michael Rutter safely through here on his third lap. Yeah, Mike Booth, number 31, up to 17th place and started 47th as Gaz Johnson sweeps through here on his third lap. So Mike Booth up 30 places from his starting position. It's a great ride from him, so keep an eye out for him. Number 31, Mike Booth. But it is Peter Hickman with that lead over Dean Harrison and Connor Cummins. And I don't really see the way that Hickman's dominating the sector times. I can't see how Dino's going to pull that back. He's got a comfortable advantage over Cummins, so his second place is secure. He's going to get another podium if he can just make sure he gets the bike home. But I just can't see how he's going to pull 10 seconds back the way that Hickman is dominating all those sectors. Other way down the leaderboard, Mark Ironside, number 36. He's gained 10 places, not made it into Gasoline Alley just yet. His higher start number started 36th, but he was running in 24th position, I think. 24th position the last time we checked him out. So there are plenty of guys down that order that are making some moves and could well be the potential riders for the future, where Davey Todd is your classic example. Got a seeded start this year at 18th and running top 5. He was 5th place coming into the grandstand. Won't be too long before we see Todd through here, but we're looking for probably Jamie Coward, the next man on the road. Now Ian Hutchinson retired. We got 2 bikes together. 18 and 15, it is Davey Todd and Jamie Coward both together. Davey Todd, 5th place. He is just tucked in behind Michael Dunlop. The gap is 37 seconds between 4th and 5th. But Davey Todd ahead of Michael Rutter. That gap's closed a little bit. It was 6 seconds on entry to the pit lane. It's now down to 1.5. But Davey Todd, well-deserved 5th position at the moment on lap 3. We'll have to swing down to Balaf now because I'm sure the leaders will be flicking through Balaf Bridge as Phil Crow comes through on his third lap. And we do have the leaders through Balaf, and that gap is down a little bit. So Dean Harrison closed the gap. It was 10 seconds exactly here at Glen Helen. At Balaf Bridge on lap 3, it's down to 9.5. So Dean Harrison clawed back half a second in the run from Glen Helen to Balaf. And your top three at Ballaugh Bridge on lap 3. It's first number 10, Peter Hickman. Second, number 2, Dean Harrison. He's 9 seconds down on Hickman. And in third place, number 1, Connor Cummins. He's 23 seconds back on Dean Harrison. Back to you at the grandstand.
It's all going to be about the boards and the signals they're getting, and that second pit stop. Julian Trummer, a 30-second penalty for a speed limit in pit lane infringement. Sam West has retired here at the pits, but let's go to the Silby speed trap. And Connor Cummins, 182.4, but Dean Harrison, 191.2. He was 192.3 on the opening lap. Hickman, 192.8 on that opening lap. So it is Hickman and Harrison in absolutely perfect racing conditions here for the Dunlop Senior TT. The glare of the sunshine isn't there. There's not too much of a breeze, and they're going to have really good visibility for the moment on their way round. So it's Hickman by 9.590 seconds. 10 leads 2. And then, well, it's just a repeat of last year. And if the top 3 stay the same, well, we've got the same podium as we had 12 months ago. But it is Hickman and Harrison, part 2. Let's go to Ramsey Hairpin. Roy Moore.
Yeah, 670 in my estimation, unofficial that is, of TT winners so far, but still not decided as who number 671 will be here through Ballaugh Bridge. That little decrease in Peter Hickman's lead. Well, the next timing point is here at Ramsey Hairpin to find out what the difference will be. We're expecting Dean Harrison to break that beam, which he has done, and here he is with us now. Let's see how he gets exit this time. Yeah, much smoother on the exit there. Just gives it time to straighten up, and then away he goes, up towards the waterworks. And here's Connor now. We wouldn't expect anything different in his line. It's absolutely inch perfect every time, and he too just gets a little bit more run than Dean Harrison out, and then the old Honda chimes in and he's up towards the waterworks. So it is at Ballaugh Bridge, 9.590 seconds. What will it be here at Ramsey? Well, we've got a bit of a way to go. And certainly in the old days, when you're listing all those winners, they used to have the Clubman's TT, and that was the opportunity for the newcomers to come to the course and ride round the 37 3/4 mountain course and see what they thought of it without any pressure. But certainly the boys seem to come to it here now and just take it for granted that they're going to be doing 120, 118 mile an hour laps. We noticed even in last place, would you believe, in last night's practice, the last person averaged 118. My goodness, Peter Hickman treats Stella Maris superbly, and he's beautiful round Ramsey, and again he just seems to line it up better. It's out to 10.5 seconds again. There might have been a hurry up board come. Next to go through there will be Michael Dunlop. So Peter Hickman has made a bit of an input into Michael Dunlop there after he let him go through. But certainly at Ramsey Hairpin on lap number 3, it's number 10, Peter Hickman, by 10.494, 10.5 seconds over. In second place, number 2, Dean Harrison. Third place, Connor Cummins. He's now 24 seconds down on Dean Harrison, but he's increasing his lead over Michael Dunlop, who is in fourth place, number 6, Michael Dunlop, 13 seconds down on Connor Cummins. It was 12 at they went through Ballaugh. Next machine interview is that of James Hillier. James Hillier here with us at Ramsey, but certainly I think it was 7th place for him through. We've got Davey Todd and Michael Rutter to slot in there. James Hillier is through though, and away up towards the waterworks. And Michael Rutter has broken the beam down the road. Let's see the difference between him and number 4, Michael Dunlop. But let's listen to him first. And away he goes, gets it chimed in. Usual Michael Rutter style, and 45 seconds down on Michael Dunlop, but 14.5 seconds ahead of the moment of James Hillier. There's number 7 safely through with us, Gary Johnson. He's 12.5 seconds, 13 seconds down on James Hillier, but that man we've got to slot in there is Todd, and see where he fits into it. So at the current moment in time, it's third for Connor Cummins, 13 seconds ahead of Michael Dunlop. In fifth place, number 8, Michael Rutter, 45 seconds down on Dunlop. Through Ramsey Hairpin, it's number 6, number 6, James Hillier, who's 14 seconds down on Michael Rutter, and then Gary Johnson, 12 seconds down on James Hillier. Dean Harrison has made the mountain climb. This will be a bit of not a flying lap, because remember, they've got to come out of the pits and then they're off down Bray Hill, and then they will be going straight through this time. But the time definition from the first lap, second lap slowing down, and then the third lap taking off, it'll only be the very last lap that this will be a flying lap, and that's always the system when you're coming in for 2 pit stops. Bungalow is Dean Harrison. Dean Harrison through, Connor Cummins through, 25 seconds down, but not yet arrived at the Bungalow. We're not expecting him immediately, but certainly as soon as it flashes up, we'll give you the time difference at the Bungalow between Harrison and Hickman. At Ramsey, 10.5 seconds. What will it be? 2 machines interview now. There's Jamie Coward, and be just ahead of him. Jamie Coward was Davy Todd. 5th place for Davy Todd at Ramsey hairpin. 5th for Davy Todd at Ramsey. Hickman has made the Bungalow, and he's increased his lead by a further 2 seconds. 2 seconds now. It's out to 12.2 seconds that the lead for Peter Hickman is over Dean Harrison at the Bungalow. Michael Dunlop has also made the climb. Going back to Ramsey hairpin, 5th place for number 18, Davy Todd. 44 seconds down on Michael Dunlop, but only 1 second ahead of in 6th place, number 8, Michael Rutter. It's then in 7th, James Hillier, 8th, Gary Johnson, 9th, Jamie Coward. So Brian McCormick has just come into 8th place there, so that puts Gary Johnson 9th, Jamie Coward 10th, and Philip Crowe 11th. Back to the grandstand.
Well, Peter Hickman certainly owns that section, doesn't he? Ramsey hairpin to the Bungalow, and Chris Boyd, the times, he's just making inroads on that section alone all the time.
Absolutely. If you put the 6 laps together, just Bungalow to Ramsey to Bungalow, the climb of the mountain, those 6 times, that's where the winning gap is predominantly coming. This time, Harrison did it in a 3:14.3. Hickman did it in a 3:14.3. Hickman a 3:12.5. So 1.8 seconds he's had, and that's similar to the other laps. As you build that, you're suddenly up to about 6 of the 12 seconds just in that one sector.
Light is on for number 2, Dean Harrison. It certainly, Chris, is his territory, isn't it? And the speeds we're seeing with the lack of qualifying between these two at the front, the Hillier and Hickman show, which, we could watch this for years, couldn't we?
Could we ever? This is what we wanted to see for the whole of TT. It's taken us 2 weeks to get here, and we've finally got the perfect conditions. We've finally got the lap speeds. Those first lap times were sensational. Second lap times even more so. They've obviously had a pit stop in this lap, but we'll see what they do out onto lap 4.
And Dean Harrison should be into view very shortly. 2 retirements in the pit, Xavier Denis and Timothy Monod. But let's look up to our right from the grandstand. Can hear a bike. Can see a bike. Here he is. Harrison across the line. And of course we now wait for Connor Cummins, and then it should be Peter Hickman, because he was let through by Michael Dunlop as they left the pits. Another bike screaming into view, and that is Connor Cummins. Hickman 12.2 the margin at Cronknamona. 12.2 the gap, 2.76 to be precise. Michael Dunlop has made it as well to Cronknamona, number 6. But Peter Hickman, we now await for him to emerge out of Governors and come here onto Glencrutchy Road. We can see the green light helicopter getting the television images from high in the sky, hovering over our race leader. So Hickman, we're coming on to Glencrutchy Road, then we'll get to see what the gap is and come past St George's football ground and the helicopter pad there. Can hear him, we can now see him. Now, here he is, our race leader. What's the gap going to be? Hickman across the line, and he leads by 13.486 seconds, a growing margin. And let's give you the lap details. Lap 3, it does, of course, incorporate the lap 2 pit stop. There's Dunlop across the line. Great to see that Tyco BMW with the yellow plate with the number on, harking back to the traditions of senior racers. Always was the yellow plate with the black number. So Hickman, 126.944 miles per hour at the end of lap 3. They're halfway through this Dunlop senior TT battle, and Hickman has a 13.486 second advantage over number 2 Dean Harrison on the Silicone Engineering Kawasaki. 126.305 miles per hour it was for Harrison. Connor Cummins is in third. He's now 15.8 seconds ahead of fourth place, number 6, Michael Dunlop. So it is Hickman who leads. He's building a lead. There's Hillier, not quite on the pace, quicker than any of us would go, but he's not quite there in terms of his race pace. He'd be normally wanting to be challenging at least for the podium, but he's struggling a little bit by his standards. Maybe the early start doesn't suit. Hillier 123.7. Here's Rutter. Oh my goodness. Big speed wobble as he went under the Monster Energy bridge there from Rutter. There's no doubt he is trying on that trick Honda. Lovely to listen to. 122.9 miles per hour for Michael Rutter. There's number 7 across the line, Gary Johnson. So let's update you with the leaderboard. It's Hickman, 13.486 seconds ahead of number 2, Dean Harrison, who in turn is 27.2 seconds ahead of number 1, Connor Cummins. Cummins is 15.8 seconds ahead of number 6, Michael Dunlop, who's 53.2 seconds ahead of number 8, Michael Rutter. But we've got to factor in Davey Todd, we've got to factor in Jamie Coward and Brian McCormack having an absolutely cracking senior TT. James Hillier currently showing in 6th, 7.5 seconds behind Rutter, but he's 25.6 seconds ahead of 7th currently, Gary Johnson. Going back to Cronknamona, Davey Todd is in 5th place at Cronknamona, and we should see Davey Todd coming past us here at the grandstand, but we're not going to have time. Let's head out to Glen Helen. Dave Christian.
Yes, thanks, Tim. Stirring on the wall suggests there's some action approaching, and there is. It says the leader on the road, number 2, Dean Harrison. Nice and smooth as ever, and slow as smooth, smooth as fast. That's what they say around here. He wasn't slow at all, but he was definitely smooth. And if smooth equals fast, then that's what he was. Dean Harrison safely through here. He's starting to get a much, much bigger gap now between him and Connor Cummins on the road. There's a big fella now. No dramas from him either. Knows the circuit extremely well, of course. And 29 seconds now, the gap between Dean Harrison and Connor Cummins. It was 27 at the grandstand, so Dean Harrison still giving it the beans, but just edging away from 3rd place Connor Cummins, but doesn't appear to be as yet making any inroads on Peter Hickman, who is, keeps extending his lead every lap. 13.5 seconds it was at the grandstand, and just awaiting the arrival of Peter Hickman now, so we can give you the update. But starting at number 10, there is a little bit of a gap on the road. There is a little bit of traffic up ahead. The last man through was Barry Ferber, but no time for that. Here is Peter Hickman. Wow, he got that cranked over to an awfully impressive lean angle there, Peter Hickman, but he's safely through here. He's on the power and making his climb. He's sweeping around Sarah's up until Lamfell, and then nice flat straight along Cronkerbody where he's got the opportunity for a breather. Michael Dunlop comes through now. The gap between Peter Hickman and Dean Harrison has grown slightly, so Peter Hickman taking time out of Dean Harrison in the opening sector. It's not much of a gap. It's not much of an increase. It was 13.5 seconds at the grandstand. It's out to 14 seconds now. But what's significant there is on most of the other sectors, on most of the other laps, Dean Harrison has been taking time off Peter Hickman in the grandstand to Glen Helen Sector 1. And this time around, it is Hickman who is taking half a second out of Dean Harrison. Connor Cummins remains in third, 30 seconds back, 29.7. We'll call that 30. He is 30 seconds back on Dean Harrison. And in fourth place, number 6, Michael Dunlop. He is 16 seconds down on number 1, Connor Cummins. That gap increased slightly as well in the opening sector. Next man on the road should be James Hillier. It certainly is. Hillier still clawing his his way back up that leaderboard. He has caught and passed Brian McCormack on corrected time. His next target will be Michael Rutter. The gap between Hillier and Rutter was 7.5 seconds at the grandstand. So there is a chance for James Hillier to claw back maybe a couple of positions here, but there is a big gap between 4th and 5th. Here is Michael Rutter now. Sounds absolutely fantastic, particularly when he gets on the pipe away up the hill here, and you get the full sound effect reverberating around the bottom of the valley. But Michael Rutter, well, he was in 6th place at the grandstand, 7 seconds behind number 18, Davy Todd. Obviously, Davy Todd not made it here yet. We're waiting for Gaz Johnson, should be next. Here he is. Again, no problems with Gaz Johnson. Gets it fully open as he heads up towards Sarah's Cottage, and 7th place he holds at the moment, but we've got some of the highest start numbers are going to drop in ahead of Gary Johnson. Jamie Coward, Brian McCormack and Davy Todd all going to go ahead of Gaz Johnson on corrected time. The leaders, Dean Harrison and Connor Cummins, leaders on the road, are at Ballaugh already. The gap between Harrison and Cummins was 30 seconds here. 30 seconds, 29.7. It's now up to 32.8. So Dean Harrison takes another 2 seconds off Connor Cummins between Glen Helen and Ballaugh Bridge. And that shows Dean is still on it. He's still trying to claw back some of that advantage Peter Hickman has built up. And of course, we do have pits at the end of this lap. And again, there's all sorts of things can happen in pit lane. And that's the worst place of all to leak time. They were pretty good last time. Michael Dunlop dropped a couple of seconds, but apart from that, everyone was fine. 18 and 15 come through here now. Davy Todd and Jamie Coward. Davy Todd holds on to his 5th place. A great ride from Davy Todd. Started at 18th. There's Peter Hickman now through Ballaugh. Hickman through Ballaugh, and the lead with Dean Harrison is now 12.9 seconds. So Dean Harrison takes a second and a bit out of Peter Hickman between Glen Helen and Ballaugh. And there's another sector there where Harrison is obviously still on it. He's still clawing back the time when he can. But they're going to be fast approaching that mountain climb where Peter Hickman has been so dominant over the last 12 months. And we'll have to see whether or not Dean Harrison can do anything about that. But it is at Ballaugh Bridge, your top 3. Number 10, Peter Hickman, leads number 2, Dean Harrison, by 13 seconds. And in 3rd place, number 1, Connor Cummins. He's 33 seconds back on Harrison. Back to you at the grandstand.
And at the Sulby Speed Trap, Hickman and Harrison, the only two above the 190 mile an hour barrier at the moment. Hickman's just put in a 191.2 on this lap. Dean Harrison 190.6. They've been over the 190 every single lap. 12.937 seconds then at Ballaugh Bridge. Number 10, Hickman, leads number 2, Dean Harrison. A word about number 70, the newcomer Lucas Mora. 2 laps just shy of 121 miles an hour to open his Dunlop Senior TT. Terrific effort from him. Dunlop is just eking out the advantage in 3rd place ahead of 4th place Michael Dunlop. It's now 17.4. But it is Peter Hickman versus Dean Harrison once again as they're heading towards Ramsey Hairpin, and then we're into Hickman territory as they head up the mountain. Can Harrison put in a real good sector from Ramsey Hairpin to Ballaugh Bridge to remain in the race? Let's go out to Ramsey Hairpin. Roy Moore.
Yeah, it must be frustrating getting boards out where the gap has gone from 8, I think it was, on the second lap, up out to 12 now. So what will it be at Ramsey Hairpin? I can tell you Dean Harrison is here. Entirely different line than Peter Hickman here into Ramsey. Makes a tighter exit from Stella Maris and then takes it out and away, but certainly clearly not slackening back at all. A second pull back on the run to Ballaugh Bridge, but now through Ramsey Hairpin safely. Number 2, Dean Harrison. I can tell you Connor Cummins probably dropped back a little bit on that run through there. 36 seconds he is down now on Dean Harrison, but whether Peter Hickman will catch Connor Cummins remains to be seen. But certainly Connor safely through, heading for another pit stop and probably a rear wheel change as well. And certainly that will be the case. But it's 36 seconds, so 4 seconds that he's lost on Dean Harrison from Ballaugh Bridge here to Ramsey Hairpin. But it will all be on what Peter Hickman can do on the run through round about this time in 6-lap races. Certainly remember back when the most they ever had was 57, where there was 8. But Peter Hickman has made it here, and he's maintaining station. A fraction of a second he's lost, but an entirely different line, and flowing it through short circuit stuff and tight to the wall on the outside, and gets it onto the white line up towards the waterworks. Peter Hickman now 12.5 seconds ahead of Dean Harrison. Dean Harrison 12.5 seconds down on Peter Hickman here at Ramsey, but then maintaining that from the run from Ballaugh Bridge to here. We're expecting Michael Dunlop next. See what the difference between him and Conor Cummins is. Well, it was 17 seconds at Ballaugh, and it's 17 seconds here at Ramsey, because holding on to 4th place is number 6, Michael Dunlop. That machine sounds beautiful, and he's quick shifting it right up all the way to Waterworks. 17.926 is the difference. So virtually maintain that run. Half a second the difference between Ballaugh Bridge and Ramsey Hairpin, where he had lost a bit of time, I think, on the run to Glen Helen. So it's Peter Hickman by 12.532 seconds. 12.5 seconds is lead over. In second place, number 2, Dean Harrison. In third, number 1, Conor Cummins. He's 36 seconds down on Dean Harrison. Within fourth place, number 6, Michael Dunlop. He's 17 seconds down on Conor Cummins. James Hillier should be next, holding on to that 6th place as they went over Ballaugh Bridge, so moving up the field. And here he is now, James Hillier, safely through Ramsey. He's got a different approach as well, but certainly everyone works. Very, very difficult to get a different line through a tight, acute, and as somebody mentioned the other day, the U-bend at Ramsey. Certainly, that James Hillier, 1 minute, we go into the 1 minute bracket, that he is down on Michael Dunlop. 1 minute and 3 seconds, in fact, that James Hillier holding on there. But Davy Todd could make a difference to that. Number 18, Davy Todd. We're expecting Michael Rutter to be next. I think that win the other day took him ahead in race wins of his dad, Tony Rutter. Blue light on the side there. On at the back as well, Michael Rutter. Well, he was having that battle there with James Hillier, and certainly it's 5 seconds now that James Hillier has got the advantage over number 8, Michael Rutter, who's holding on to 6th place here at Ramsey. But we're awaiting the arrival of probably Gary Johnson next, but it is that Davy Todd, who was up to 5th place at Ballaugh Bridge, and Jamie Coward will be the ones. There it is, Gary Johnson safely through. He slots into 7th place there, but he's 40 seconds down on Michael Rutter. 40 seconds down on Michael Rutter. Dean Harrison has made the climb to the bungalow, and he will make the difference on that as they approach us here. All to play for, as they say. All to play for, and another pit stop there, and then a further 2 laps. It's hard to imagine that yesterday Peter Hickman through the bungalow, and once again a 3-second advantage pulled out on the run to the bungalow. Through the bungalow, Peter Hickman by 15 seconds from Dean Harrison. Conor Cummins 38 seconds down on that. Just 2 to go through there. There's Jamie Coward holding on to 8th, and Davy Todd maintaining that 5th. As they went through Ramsey Hairpin, Davy Todd 5th, James Hillier 6th, Michael Rutter 7th, Jamie Coward 8th, and Gary Johnson 9th. Back to the grandstand.
Some ride by Davy Todd in 5th, but half of the lead that Hickman's built up, Chris Boyd, has come in that section from Ramsey Hairpin to the bungalow.
That's right. Across the 4 laps combined, he's had 8.5 seconds out of Dean Harrison on that climb. He leads by 15.25, so half of it has come out of that. The only sector where Harrison is quicker than Hickman across the 4 laps combined so far is Glen Helen to Ballaugh, and Harrison is only 1.9 seconds quicker than Hickman. It's hard to see where he builds any kind of challenge to come back at Hickman at this stage, but we still have a long way to go when really only just over half distance.
Absolutely. Cronknamona light on for number 2. You can see it there across the road on the scoreboards, shining brightly there on both the north and south boards. And Dean Harrison safely to Cronknamona. Of course, they'll be coming in for a pit stop again. This race, the face of it could change once again if any problems are encountered, but the 2 highly professional outfits in the Smiths Racing team seeing Peter Hickman through his pit stop, and Dean Harrison with the Silicone Engineering Racing team in charge of him. Conor Cummins also now at Cronknamona. The race starting to get stretched out somewhat here, and we wait for Dean Harrison to come into view. Should be any moment now. He's going to be slowing down, of course, to come into pit lane. There's the klaxon sounding, and there is Dean Harrison. Oh, a little bit of a wobble, but nothing too dramatic, and he is safely through, and 133.005 miles per hour down to Chris Kinley.
Lost a little bit of time when he left the pits last time. It just wouldn't catch up on him there. You can hear the ratchet going in the background. The spindle's out. The rear chain is now off. It's been rested on the back of the rear, swinging on. One tyre goes to the left-hand side of the pit box, and now the next one is in and slotted into position. Back we go to Cronknamona. Hickman's there. The lead is 15.931. We've got Conor Cummins just in the background. You heard the klaxon there now. It was 55 over 55 seconds there. The Silicon Engineering pit stop, the first one. Hickman's was 54.9. Cummins' ones was 54.7. The gap between Harrison and Cummins, 39.7 as they came into the second pit stop here at the Isle of Man TT races, fueled by Monster Energy. The Dunlop Senior TT. Dean Harrison away. Let's hear this time. Yeah, that's a bit better that time from the team. Tim O'Hanlon has got them times. We'll get them in a second. You hear the klaxon go once more. This should be our next rider in view, and it should be our race leader. It is. It's a Smith's Racing BMW. It's Hickey. He goes past the podium spot, and where he'll hopefully be on the top bit a little bit later on. And Hickman is in the gap as he went across the line. Let's have a little check on this then for Peter Hickman. Let's have a little check.
133.554, and he's 17.6 seconds ahead.
Yeah, Conor Cummins leaves the pit stop there now, just checks everything's all right with his RI lid as he leaves, everything clipped into place, but Hickman's team already have the rear wheel out. The chain is now back onto that sprocket. The rear spindle's just been slid in and just pushed into position. Then they've got like a little wrench bar that goes, and that's been turned about 15 times to get it up to its correct pressure, and then the torque wrench is on, and that's set now to the torque. So that's the thing that's done so quick. So two new rear tyres in these pit stops for Peter Hickman, and most of the runners looking at the Tyco BMW team of Michael Dunlop. They are in, and Michael is getting worked on there. The new rear tyre for him. Hickman away. That's the only four riders who've had in then. So the lead through the grandstand at the end of lap number 4. Peter Hickman leads Dean Harrison by 17.683 seconds. Then Conor Cummins in third place, 39.7 back off Harrison. And then Michael Dunlop, 18.3 back off Conor Cummins. The klaxon goes once more. So after the pit stop, 19.2 seconds it is. And looking at the pit times, Hickman 57 flat, Harrison 58.6, Cummins 57.4, and Dunlop 59.2. So the gap has increased by 1.6 seconds after the pit stops. And Michael Rutter, I think he had one of those trouser moments coming through on the previous lap, but he came through here, a massive tank slapper, which he corrected just as he got to the end of the cemetery by the Monster Energy Bridge. And it's James Hillier in at the moment, provisionally in 5th place, but he is going through Cronknamona. Michael Rutter and Gary Johnson also through Cronknamona. And looking at their lap times for the boys, we'll give you those in a second as you just hear the klaxon go once more in the background. Hillier 130.83. And Hutchin, yeah, we had Hutchie a bit earlier on. And this is the RCV of Rutter. Listen to this thing rattling into there. It is so loud. You heard it going off on one of the practice nights. Was it last night we heard it going off? Rutter 128.25. And here's James Hillier. Hillier out. A few whistles from the crowd for James Hillier, provisionally 5th at the moment, but Michael Rutter provisionally 6th also. Hillier a minute and 2 down. So Hickman led away from here after the pit stop, 17.6 on the timer, but add the pit stop into that, 19.2. So keep that figure in your mind. He just gets time from all sorts of sectors. He gains from Cronknamona to here one. Well, let's go. Oh, that's so tight. Gary Johnson bouncing it into the old stop box completely sideways. He doesn't mind it a bit flighty, does Gary, but back to the Hickman thing. He got about 1.3 back up on Harrison coming from Cronknamona to here, so he's making up so much time. And in the pit stop the previous time, it was 1.2. as you hear the RCV rattle away. So get your earplugs ready. So the only people in now are Gary Johnson, Tim. But look, Hickman, he's got it by the scruff of the neck, hasn't he?
He certainly has. Waiting for Davy Todd. He's still in 5th position at Cronknamona, but he's 57 seconds down on Michael Dunlop. But this may well be Davy Todd coming into the pits now. I think it is. Indeed it is. And he's got Jamie Coward as well. Back down to you, Chris.
Yeah, Jamie Coward for his provisionally 8th at the moment across the line. Davy Todd in 5th position, 59.632 off Michael Dunlop, and he's in the Pens team, very professional on the World Endurance stage and the IRRC. And there goes Gary Johnson, he's out there now. So we've got Jamie Coward 15 and number 18 Davy Todd. They're the two runners in here at the moment. Brian McCormack is in 9th place through Cronknamona. Dominic Herbison rounds off the top 10. Let's get to Glen Helen, lap 5, Dave Christian.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. Just waiting for the arrival of the first man, and a bike sweeps out of Glen Helen 1. Dean Harrison tips it into the left hand and just gets onto the juice, squares her up and gives it the full power before having to shut off again for Sarah's Cottage. Dean Harrison remarkably smooth once again through here at Glen Helen. And, well, there's some traffic up ahead. That's the downer for Dino. We've got nobody within 2 minutes of him, but just about 2 minutes, about 3 minutes or so beforehand, there's 4 bikes circulating at the back end of the field. We'll just take this next man through. That's number 1, Connor Cummins, safely through on his 5th lap. Just up ahead of the guys, we've got George Spence, Barry Thurber, James Chalk and Morgan Gavignon. They're all just sitting up ahead of the guys, about 3 minutes or so ahead of Dean Harrison. May catch them at the end of this lap. But of course, remember, these guys at the back end of the field will have to go into the pits at the end of this lap. And that's going to drop them back into the leaders again on lap 6 as the field concertinas together. The front of the race meets the back of the race. So some problems up ahead, but only those 4 at the moment likely to come into contact. Here's Peter Hickman now. And Peter Hickman, his lead is down to 7.9 seconds. So Peter Hickman, number 10, leads Dean Harrison, number 2, by 7.9 seconds at Glen Helen on lap 5. That has come down by about 10 seconds. Now, I don't know whether that's in terms of Peter Hickman having some sort of problem in the pits and Dean Harrison's team being a little bit sharper. Either that or he's had some sort of mishap on his way out. But that's 10 seconds. That leads down to Michael Dunlop. Gets on the juice, makes his drag out of here for the 5th time this afternoon. And Dunlop still in 4th position at the moment. The gap between him and 3rd place Connor Cummins, 21 seconds. And we're going to just quickly go to Tim in pits. Chris in the pits even.
Yeah, thanks, Dave. With the team boss of the Silicon Engineering, Paul, after the pit stops, can Dean catch Peter up?
Well, the odds are stacked against him, but you never know. We've still got 2 laps to go. It's the TT at the end of the day, and Dean will keep trying 100% like he normally does, and he'll be in there at the end, hopefully. 19.2
as you left the pits. It's down to 7.9 at Glen Helen.
Is it really?
Yeah.
I haven't even had the radio on because we've been talking about the pit stop. 7.9 seconds.
Yeah.
So we've pulled 12 seconds.
Yeah.
Well, we're definitely back in the game then,
definitely back in the game. Thanks, Paul. Thanks, boys. The Silicon boys are smiling. Back to Dave Christian.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. James Hillier just comes through here for his 5th time. Still well off the pace of the front guys. All problems stemming for James in the first lap of the race. But on the grandstand, he's back up to 6th position on corrected time. Could be an overshoot maybe for Peter Hickman. Either that or it is the Silicon Engineer and Pit Boys are very sharp this afternoon. Don't know. We'll find out probably a little bit later on at the tail end of the race. But Dean Harrison clawed back a remarkable 10 seconds there in over that first sector between the grandstand and Glen Helen. That noise needs no introduction. That's Michael Rutter on the RCV, and he is safely through here on his 5th lap this afternoon. Down in 7th place at the grandstand, so we need Jamie Todd probably through here before we can identify exactly where Michael Rutter is on the finalised leaderboard. But at the moment he holds 6th position, but we think Davy Todd might just push him back. And James Hillier's charge has done well since dropping down. I think he was close in the top 15, or just outside the top 15 on lap 1. He's fought his way back, a massive charge from James Hillier, number 5, up to 6th position at the grandstand, and he could well be 6th position here. Just need that number 18 through of Davy Todd. That's Gaz Johnson. Gaz Johnson makes his 5th pass here this afternoon, but again, a little bit off the pace. Hickman and Harrison well out in front. 40 seconds the gap, 41 seconds the gap between 2nd place Dean Harrison and 3rd place Connor Cummins. So those guys at the front, they've basically got their own race to run for the next lap and a half. And I'm sure if we have a little check down at Ballaugh Bridge, I'm sure the leaders will be streaming their way down to Ballaugh Bridge. But we're going back to Tim.
Yeah, 1.1 and is the gap then at Ballaugh Bridge. And, well, we heard about the water issues with the Superbike. Chris Kinley, you've been talking to the team.
Yeah, just been speaking to Stevie Plater. There's the TV stuff and the bike was running hot. You heard Hickman say in practice week that the Superbike was chucking water out. This could be the reason why that lead is coming down. Dave Christian.
Yes, thanks, Chris. At 1.1 seconds at Ballaugh Bridge. So Peter Hickman, his lead is evaporated. It was 17 seconds at the grandstand, 7 seconds here at Glen Helen, and it's now down to 1 second at Ballaugh Bridge. Connor Cummins still holding station, 3rd place. He is 43 seconds down. We have had, though, in the meantime, Davy Todd has been through here, number 18. He is holding on to 6th position at Glen Helen, just 1 second down on James Hillier. For the story of the race, lap 5, Ballaugh Bridge, number 10, Peter Hickman leads the race by an ever-shrinking lead. It's down to a second at Ballaugh, with Connor Cummins holding station in 3rd, 43 seconds back. Back to you at the grandstand.
Well, we got 159 miles per hour for Peter Hickman at Solby, just 159. So, Chris Boyd, we clearly know it wasn't an overshoot on the way out to Glen Helen. It is something to do with the bike, and it's running hot.
And we know, we heard you say on the start line that they've been forced by the post-race scrutineer from the Superstock, taking the Superstock engine apart. He'd been forced to run the Superbike, even though he didn't necessarily want to.
He wanted to use the hybrid Superstocker. Let's go to Ramsey Hairpin. Roy Moore, drama indeed.
Well, that was a description used by a commentator of old, Jack Cretney. Drama indeed. Well, certainly mechanical drama indeed. But how many stories over the years has there been in the history of it? Dean Harrison, maybe he knows now that he might even be possibly leading here at Ramsey Hairpin. But certainly he's not slacking up in any way. And the same line that he takes through Ramsey, we'll get an indication as to whether that bike is overheating by the line of Peter Hickman as he comes out from Stella Maris. If he's not sweeping it as he has been done in the past 4 laps, well then certainly on the 5th lap it might be a gentler approach as reflected in his less speed down through Sulby, just rolling it back. But what do you do to kind of cool the radiator to get it a little bit less than what it has been running? Connor Cummins is safely through Ramsey. Here he is into Ramsey Hairpin now, so his granny will be pleased. The marshals are pleased with the cake, and been a good week for Connor, hasn't it? Good week for him, and certainly trying hard there still. But that will possibly be, if he has got a problem, Peter Hickman, that Connor could move up into 2nd place, because he has a healthy lead at Ballaugh Bridge of 23 seconds over Michael Dunlop. And that won't disappoint Michael Dunlop too if he could move up into 3rd place and get back on the podium in this race. But it's looking ominous. It's looking ominous down through the road there to see. We see that 2 lights have broken the beam, and normally you would have expected to see Peter Hickman here. I would suggest that's unofficial here, but yes, he has here, and he has got a problem because he's now in 2nd place. No less of a sweep out of Stella Maris, but Dean Harrison leads at Ramsey by 7 seconds. 7.877 seconds. 8 seconds is the lead. Short shifting it on the way up to the waterworks. We just took the earphones off and got that, so it's all arranged here now. And 5 seconds has been taken out by Connor Cummins on the run from Ballaugh, so that podium is there, and Michael Dunlop will be delighted. And he's 25 seconds down on Connor Cummins, but probably on the quick calculation, he's only 45 seconds down on Peter Hickman, so that could all change on the run. But it's a new race leader at Ramsey Hairpin on lap number 5. It's number 2 on the Silicon Engineering bike, Dean Harrison. So there will be delight back there on Glencrutchery Road, but it's delight and despair. Just remember that even yesterday, when you got your machine all prepared, the Crow boys are up there ready to go out and probably put in a quicker lap than they did in the first sidecar race. And then the bike has been checked, but then all of a sudden something goes wrong on the start line. It's happened before, chains coming off or anything like that. Be interesting to see what the difference is at the bungalow. So James Hillier will probably move up now into 5th place or maintain that 5th place. But Davy Todd not as yet here. So we go through Ramsey Hairpin with the news that the new race leader is number 2 Dean Harrison by 8 seconds over number 10 Peter Hickman. Connor Cummins into 3rd, number 1, 38 seconds down on Peter Hickman at the moment, but certainly 38 is the difference there. Dean Harrison safely through the bungalow. And then it's in 4th place, number 6, Michael Dunlop, 25 seconds down on Connor Cummins. And then in 5th place for number 5, James Hillier. But we go into the 1 minute bracket, 1 minute and 3, the difference there. We should hear a bit of noise in a minute because it could be Michael Rutter or should be Michael Rutter heading towards us. What's the difference between him and James Hillier? It's 17 seconds. Verbal off the exhaust and away they go. 17 seconds, yeah, confirmed. 17 and a half seconds, actually, the gap between that. Connor Cummins has made the mountain climb and probably maintaining about the same distance between him and Dean Harrison on the climb to the mountain. But what will be the difference if Peter Hickman, it's one place that he won't be able to rev the bike, I wouldn't suggest climbing up the mountain. If overheating problems are there, he'll just have to sit back and watch the temperature gauge creeping round. But Dean Harrison, Connor Cummins safely through the bungalow. Michael Rutter holding on to that 6th place here at Ramsey, but 17 seconds down on James Hillier. Gary Johnson should be the next man into view, but there was a big gap at Ballath between him and Rutter, and that's no different because Gary Johnson is safely through, and it's 58 seconds that he is down on Michael Rutter. So as we quite rightly said in the early days, drama indeed. Jack Cretney out there at Ballacrane and the old commentary team as well. Peter Hickman now is 14 seconds down. He's dropped a further 7 seconds on the climb to the bungalow on the race leader, the new race leader, Dean Harrison. So that puts Connor Cummins only 34 seconds with a lap and a bit to go, or the drop down the mountain to see if he can make up that impact there. Jamie Coward is safely through, but we can slot ahead of him into 6th place, number 18, Davy Todd, and he's only half a second down on James Hillier, lap number 5 at Ramsey. So it's 7th for number 8, Michael Rutter, 16 seconds down on Todd. 8th for 15, Jamie Coward, 16 seconds down on Rutter. And 9th, number 7, Gary Johnson, 42 seconds on Jamie Coward. But an increasing lead for Dean Harrison at the bungalow.
Thank you.
Back to the grandstand.
Thank you, Roy. Cronk-Nimona, Dean Harrison, light on for number 2, and Chris Boyd. I wouldn't be surprised if Hickman pits here and decide if he can get it round and just decides that's enough, parks it.
No, he's dropping 7 or 8 seconds per sec to take that over a lap. That's nearly a minute gone, probably. It brings Connor Cummins and Michael Dunlop right into play, and it brings Davy Todd into play for a possible podium finish. He is having a storming ride at only his 2nd TT.
Certainly is, as George Spence just leaves the pit here, and we wait for Dean Harrison to come into view and set out on his 6th and final lap. We can hear bikes coming towards us, looking up. This sounds fast. It is indeed. It's Dean Harrison across the line, and of course that is including the pit stop at the end of lap 4, 125.799 miles per hour. Light is on for number 1, Connor Cummins at Cronk-Nimona, and we wait to see if Peter Hickman makes it to Cronk-Nimona. But Chris Boyd, this really goes back to the start of the race where we heard Peter Hickman interviewed saying he wanted to run the Superstock hybrid, but their hand had been forced. They'd had to go for the Superbike because that Superstock bike got stripped at scrutineering.
Which is part of the normal procedure after the Superstock race.
Entitled to do.
Absolutely, the organisers have every right.
Cummins across the line, and the gap 51.5 seconds, but there's definitely a story brewing doing here?
Yeah, I'm sure the Smiths camp will have a story to tell about that. They really are unhappy by all accounts about what happened yesterday, given that they've been using the Superstock all week.
And I can see Peter Hickman's pit crew are out. He is at Cronk-Limona, so I think it looks as if they may well be coming in to the pits to retire at the end of lap 5. Also at Cronk-Limona now is number 6, Michael Dunlop. And, Peter Hickman signalled there. He's got a... He's now coming onto Glen Crutchley Road, out of Governor's Dip. Is he going to be coming into the pits? Certainly the helicopter's still hovering, but I think we're going to see a yeah, there's the klaxon. There is Michael. There is Hickman across the line. So Chris Kinley, just down to you if I can. Chris, we sort of thought he was going to come in, but he's carrying on.
Yeah, we sort of did. Don't forget though, BMW don't do a superbike engine, Tim. It's a Superstock engine that's been blueprinted as well. So basically it is a superbike engine, but they don't produce one. So yeah, absolute massive disappointment across the line. The lead is 18.386 for Dean Harrison, who leads the Dunlop Senior TT by 18.386. Connor Cummins though only lost a second from Hickman. In fact, Hickman and Cummins, when they went through Cronk-Limona, were separated 32.989. It was up to 33.208. So it seems to be like when he went through the speed trap there, where he's just not getting that full top end power, but he's still got the bottom end stuff there. So 18.3 is the lead. Harrison leads over Hickman, who has a 33.2 on Cummins, and then it's Michael Dunlop 25.8 back.
Thank you, Chris. Light on for James Hillier at Cronk-Limona, and he should be, has been on for a while, coming into sight of everybody here on a packed grandstand here on Glen Crutchley Road. This should indeed now be Hillier. That's Hillier across the line. Hillier 123.567 miles per hour. Harrison on that lap, including the pit stop, was 125.799 miles per hour compared to Hickman at 121.733. Quite a difference. And the lap, Harrison 17 minutes 59.7, Hickman 18 minutes 35.7. An enormous difference as we look at 100 and... grandstand speed trap, 163.8 it was for Hickman compared to 180 for Harrison. Well, looking back at Cronk-Limona, Michael Rutter, the light is on for him, and Gary Johnson as well is indicated there. I think we're going to hear the fabulous Honda. Sweet as a nut hearing that across the line. Absolutely wonderful from Michael Rutter. And he was 122.405. He slots into 6th. But we have to wait, of course, for Davy Todd. Let's go to Glen Helen.
That isn't Dean Harrison. That is one of the back markers. But his one is. This is Dean Harrison. Smooth as ever. Didn't get the number for that back marker, but we have up ahead of him within 2 minutes. There is some traffic. Number 70, Lucas Maurer, the newcomer. He's not too far in front. And then there's a whole gaggle just over 2 minutes ahead. Frank Gallagher, Josh Daly, Dave Hewson, Mark Goodings, Richard Wilson, and Mike Russell, all just up ahead. So there are traffic problems on this lap. 63 comes through. That's George Spence. And George Spence running at the back of the field, as it's 42 Barry Ferber, and obviously the leaders have already encountered that traffic, but we will of course have Connor Cummins and Peter Hickman to come through the field. Here's Cummins now. He's got a couple of bikes up in front of him, George Spence and Barry Ferber, and if he can catch them at the right place, it shouldn't hold him up, but those guys may well impede Peter Hickman, and we may see a little changeover between second and third. 33 seconds the gap was, but Peter Hickman leaking time in all sectors, and that means that Connor Cummins may just squeeze up into second place. Time will tell. The time's ticking away now for Peter Hickman. Number 10 Hickman down into second place, 18 seconds the gap was at the grandstand. A machine does approach now, but this isn't Peter Hickman. That is another one of the guys running at the back of the field, Morgan Gavignon, number 44. So Connor and Dino already passed him, but he will be in Peter Hickman's way if Hickman is going to be trying to make some sort of comeback. But a huge swing in time there on lap 5 after that pit stops. Peter Hickman's lead at Glen Helen was 7.9 seconds, and by the time they come back through again, here is Hickman now. Let's have a look at the timing. It is 31 seconds the other way. So Dean Harrison leads Peter Hickman by 31 seconds. Michael Dunlop sweeps through. The gap between Hickman and Connor Cummins down to 24 seconds. And the way that time's leaking away, it is the last lap, but Cummins could just catch Hickman before the end of this lap is through. The gap at Glen Helen on lap 5 was 7.9 seconds advantage to Peter Hickman. It swung totally round the other way. It's a 38-second swing in a lap, and that shows you the amount of time that Peter Hickman's leaking with whatever that problem is he has. 31 seconds the gap at Glen Helen on lap 6, and Cummins just 24 seconds back, and he's clawing back time on Hickman every sector. And a couple of guys we were following, well, we've got a bit of time to give them a shout. Davy Todd, obviously, everyone knows Davy Todd, 18 up to 6th place. He started in 18th. As the next man swings in here, it's James Hilliard continuing his charge back up the field. Hilliard well off the pace of the leaders, about a minute or so behind the last man through, Michael Dunlop. And we'll get an update from that. Dean Harrison now through Balaf already, so the leaders on the road fast approaching Balaf, and won't be too long before we're moving along into Ramsey. Another guy worth a shout again, Mike Booth. We were following him, number 31, started in 47th place and is up to 14th at Glen Helen on lap 5, so a great ride from Mike Booth. And Mark Parrott just caught the eye as well. Number 29, Mark Parrott, started 29th. He's gained 12 places and is currently running, or lap 5 at Glen Helen at least, was running at 17th. So a good ride from those guys all the way through. We've got then next machine on the road, comes out at Glen Helen 1. That's Michael Rutter. On the power and making that climb towards Sarah's and Cronkavodi and on to Lamfell. And Michael Rutter, 6th position for Michael Rutter, just tucks in behind James Hillier, but we think Davy Todd is probably going to go in front. That's number 18, Davy Todd, when he arrives. Cummins now also through Balaf Bridge safely on his final lap, and the gap between him and Dean Harrison, 58 seconds. That increased a little bit, so it was 55, about 56. So Dean Harrison taking 2 seconds out of Connor Cummins in the sector between Glen Helen and Balaf. So Dean Harrison obviously still applying the pressure at the front end of the field. And we just need the arrival of Peter Hickman now to see how that gap's growing and whether or not there's going to be a change in between 3rd and 2nd place. Could see the big fellow from Ramsey on the number 2 step on the podium as Gaz Johnson comes through on Glen Helen on his final lap. Gaz Johnson currently 7th position, but again Davy Todd will potentially slip ahead of him on corrected time. And that is Davy Todd here. Peter Hickman is now through Balaf as Jamie Coward comes through here. So at Balaf Bridge on lap 6, the 6th and final lap, it's number 2, Dean Harrison leads number 10, Peter Hickman by 40 seconds. 40 seconds the gap now, and in 3rd place, number 1, Connor Cummins, 24 seconds the gap was at Glen Helen on lap 6. At Balaf Bridge, it's down to 17.7 seconds for Connor Cummins. Connor is hunting down Peter Hickman, and we may just get a 2nd and 3rd change around in places, but Dean Harrison looks to have the race in the bag, 40 seconds in front at Balaf Bridge on lap 6. Back to you at the grandstand.
Thank you, Dave. The traffic that Dave referred to at Glen Helen, the bike ahead of Dean Harrison was Adrian Harrison, so I don't think he will have had a problem getting past there. But yes, 40.5 seconds, the advantage at Balaf Bridge for Dean Harrison. But the real interest now, apart from obviously Harrison trying to get his first bike win, will be to see if Connor Cummins can get near to Peter Hickman and get onto the 2nd step on the podium. Well, let's get the very latest from Ramsey Hairpin on this last lap. Roy Moore.
Yeah, just when you thought it was safe to go back in the water, Peter Hickman, Dean Harrison. Dean Harrison here at Ramsey, I think now. Yes, certainly he is. And he will have been indicated, I would think. The marshals applauding him, but there's still a long way to go. Remember, we quoted before all the things that could happen. And 2 laps of fuel would probably be one that would spring to mind. How many times Joey ran out at Hilbury? Ian Hutchinson the other night ran out, and all the expensive fuel was deadened by half a gallon of unleaded dumped in by a marshal to get him back to the pits. Just a quick brief now. Here's the second place man. No, it's not. It can't be. It can't possibly be. So we have to go to our list. And we didn't even get a chance to get the number that came through there. But the engineer did, I think. And that was one that was mentioned, number 53, Adrian Harrison. So, as quite rightly stated, there wouldn't be any problem at all of that getting through. But that battle between Connor Cummins and Peter Hickman at Balaf, 40 seconds, 17 it was down to, and there's Connor. So he might too know that that is the case. He has a quick look over his left shoulder, but there's nobody about, Lisa. Just keep her head down and ass up over the mountain, and you'll be all right, possibly, because it's 17 seconds it was at Balaf Bridge. Dean Harrison, though, will be getting the indication that he's 40 seconds ahead. So all changed. Just a quick remark. Get another one coming in too. We've just got to get them through. That is number 63, I think, that is safely through Ramsey. Where do we have him on our list? It was George Spence, who's through. And the other one was the engineer, just Matty there, number 42, Barry Ferber. So they are not going to interfere with too much, I would think, as we look down to see what the difference will be at Ramsey here between Peter Hickman and Connor Cummins. That is the battle. It looks safe for Dean Harrison with a 40.5 second lead. It's up to 58 seconds over Connor Cummins here at Ramsey, but that's totally incidental. Just got time, I think, for to pass on a message from Dave Clark, who is the sector marshal here in the Ramsey area. Sincere thanks to all the marshals for their duty that they put on. Peter Hickman is here. Peter Hickman's here. He's got number just in front of him. So Peter Hickman's made it. What is the difference between it now? It's down to 12 seconds. 12 seconds only, Connor Cummins. So he's picked out another 5-6 seconds. If it's that the same to the bungalow, I don't think Peter Hickman will be able to give that the revs he normally does on the climb up to the bungalow. So let's revise what it is. It's Dean Harrison now by 46 seconds. 46 seconds is the lead for Dean Harrison, number 2, over 10, who's still maintaining that second place, Peter Hickman. In third place, though, that is the interest that's going to be. It's number 1, Connor Cummins, who is only 12.842, say 13 seconds to round it off, who is down now on Peter Hickman for that second place. That will move Michael Dunlop up into the third if he too can pull back a bit of time, but he's 25 seconds down on Connor Cummins. There's James Hillier through, and we did get Michael Dunlop through as well. So Michael Dunlop safely through, 25 seconds down on Connor Cummins, but he too will be making inroads into that Peter Hickman to possibly get onto the podium. Peter Hickman didn't appear to be any slower coming out of Stella Maris, but certainly it indicated when the beam was broken that was the case. James Hillier holding on to that 5th place here at Ramsey, but from Balaf there was others who would be slotted into that particular equation there. So that is the case here. We also noticed Frank Gallagher was going very well, and we had put a mark against, as Dave quite rightly said, the evergreen Mark Parrott, who's so smooth round here at Ramsey. A lot of noise coming towards us again. It's got to be Michael Rutter. Let's hear the old Honda for this 2019 at Ramsey. Like that you'll be able to hear in the classic TT and Manx Grand Prix later on. And if you want a trip down to Ballown tomorrow for the post-TT, Dean Harrison and Connor Cummins have made the mountain climb, but it's incidental on what time Connor Cummins has posted to there at the moment, because it will all depend on what number 10 does going up the mountain. Will he be able to pull back those 12 seconds, 13 seconds near enough on the mountain climb? And certainly if Peter Hickman, that has been his territory, well, I don't think anybody would deny Dean Harrison a win in this particular week, and certainly over 6 laps. Well, that's what's the punishing time, that the things that happen with it. Also, we did notice that Frank Gallagher and Michael Russell going well too, just ones when you're sat there. And Sean Anderson, number 17, good week for him as well, in the top 20, and certainly taking full advantage of the BMW. We have the Davy Todd. Yeah, we got Davy Todd to come through. Where's he going to slot into it? We're looking at two screens here. Davy Todd, yeah, 5th place for him, number 18. 1 minute down on Michael Dunlop. 1 minute down on Michael Dunlop, but he is just half a second ahead. Off in 6th place, number 5, James Hillier. Bungalow times. Connor Cummins, only 9 seconds down on Peter Hickman, with only the drop down to the finish. It's Hickman 50 seconds down on Harrison, but Connor Cummins only 9 seconds down on Peter Hickman. Michael Dunlop 26 seconds behind Cummins. Back to the grandstand.
Thank you very much, Roy Moore. And yes, Dean Harrison safely, quite a few moments ago now, the light came on for number 2. We wait for him to be acclaimed the winner of the Dunlop Senior TT. And how well deserved that'll be after a week of seconds and thirds and on that podium. But he's going to hopefully now nurse that bike home. He's on to Glen Crutchley Road, I can tell you. The helicopter is overhead. The checkered flag is ready. It's Dean Harrison, a 3rd TT win. Oh, he's so happy, nodding his head across the line there. It's the biggest prize of all that he's got this time. The Dunlop Senior TT. 132.891 miles per hour. He was sitting half up on the bike as he came across the line, nodding his head. He knew he'd got the biggest prize in road racing, and I think there's going to be a massive party with the Silicon Engineering team tonight. What a win for Dean Harrison, a first big bike win at the TT. All eyes now to see if Connor Cummins can get the 2nd place. He's certainly going to be in there on the podium, but is he going to get 2nd, or is it going to be Peter Hickman hanging on? Looking down the road, I can see Connor Cummins across the line now, but I can also see Dean Harrison, and he's coming into the winner's enclosure, both hands off the handlebars, fist pump, Chris Kinley.
Here he comes. Senior TT winner. He just said to the boys, go for it. I'm not going to repeat what the boys said to him. Blow it up. It doesn't matter. This is what it's all about, winning a senior TT. Peter Hickman is through Cronknamona, 53 seconds back off Dean. And importantly, 6.2. And there's Dean on the foot pegs, 6.2 ahead of Connor Cummins. So it is going to be so tight. And all the boys and girls shouting Dino straight over to the team, straight over to the missus, Paul and all the guys. Clarissa's there. Samai will be in there from the Silicon team. Massive hug for Clarissa there. Just got married there to Samai the other month, and they're just holding on to Connor at the moment. It's Hickman. We've got to keep an eye on 132.89 on the previous lap. On this lap, on the last lap, should I say, 14 Harrison. There's a bike going straight through. Not sure who that's going straight through. That is. He's not too far away from having Hickman here, to be honest with you. The gap at the end between Harrison and Cummins was 58.879. We want to get Hickman across the line, and there's Michael Dunlop. Michael Dunlop finishes in 3rd provisionally at the moment, 27.830 back.
It's the line, Chris, and he is in 2nd place. He's 5.8 ahead of Connor Cummins. Connor Cummins confirmed in 3rd.
Well, let's speak to Johnny and the boys from the Silicon team. What does this mean, Johnny?
Oh, absolutely everything. It's something we've worked for years with Dean. It's been coming for a while. It's not the way you want to win a race with someone going out like that, but it's unbelievable, isn't it? We're just over the moon to get the victory.
Hold on, Johnny. Cheers. Let's speak to our Dunlop Senior. It's turned around because the photographs won it. Our Dunlop Senior TT. Look at the look on this young man's face. Give Dino a round of applause, guys.
What, Dunlop? The
Dunlop Senior TT.
One on a pair of Metzlers.
What do you like? How is that then, Dino? Let's talk us through the race. We know Peter had his problems. It's the TT. You have to be there at the end.
Well, I think Hector Neal hit the nail on the head. I think he says to finish first you must finish. But no, over the moon, guys. I got off the road as hard as I could, and Peter was just chipping at me, to be fair. And now I struggle at that.
Well done, mate.
Cheers, mate. Thank you. Cheers. Thank you. And I just sat there and I thought, if I can try and stay, I think I always win that 15 and 19 seconds. I thought, you never know, anything can happen here. And I don't want Shaw to win third, so I just carried on going at the same pace, going, and just, I can't believe it, over the moon.
Nice to see a smile back on your face, because it's not been the best of weeks. You've been chasing that man down every week, but you're catching him on some sectors, but in the mountain sector, he's gone.
Yeah, so I lost my way a bit with a big gap in between. I almost lost my momentum midweek, with the weather and stuff like that, and that's just down to me, to be honest. I probably got that back yesterday. We're doing all the racing the day, it got me back up to speed, but no, good, over the moon.
TT winner again, the senior TT, the biggest, bestest trophy in the whole world.
The thing I'm happy about as well is it were a race win over 6 laps, a full race distance, 2 pit stops. And that's hard work around there.
Talking about conditions around the track.
Today's conditions were perfect. The conditions today were absolutely spot on, to be honest. There were no damp patches. Do you know what I want to say? Can I say a massive thanks to all the crowd and everyone that were waving over the fences, and everywhere you go around the whole TT course, there's people waving programmes, they've got foam fingers over the hedge, and they're what make the whole thing special as well, to be honest. Without them stood at the hedges, it wouldn't be the same.
When did you first know that you were catching him? Did you getting good boards around the place? Because it went down from here about 17 seconds and dropped to 7.9 seconds at Glen Helen. And when did you get your first board?
I got the first P1 board coming out of Ballaugh, I think. And I thought, and I wasn't sure who it was. And then I was chipping away. And then I got P1 plus 30. And I thought, it must have dropped out then. I don't know what issues Pete's had, but I don't know.
You'll take it. It's a TT, it's an endurance, isn't it?
But yeah, 6 laps is definitely an endurance race around here anyway. But
he's not hardly sweating, are you?
Mate, no, I'm a fit lad, you know what I mean?
Dean Harrison, senior TT winner, many congratulations.
Cheers, thank you.
Well done, Dino. Well done to you, sir. Good man. Excellent. Let's go and get the story from Pete, if we can. Is it? Well, hang on. We need to do this one first, actually, because we're Matt, can we just jump into this one live? Is that all right? Thanks, Matt. Cheers. Thank you very much. Pete, not to be, unfortunately, at the TT for you this year. Talk us through the issues that, unfortunately, you've had on this senior race, because you had it in the bag. And I know you're a bit annoyed about it, but we are live on radio.
Hey, it is what it is. We've had a cracking week. The bike was working awesome for the first 4 laps. We built them 19-second lead, I think I had on my pit board, so I was kind of in the same kind of position I was in the Superstar race and kind of just cruising. But when we came in for that second pit stop, the temperature suddenly went really high, which it's not done in the first 4 laps. And then I kind of just knew, we've had this water issue, and we really can't work it out. It makes absolutely no sense. We've got some clever people in the Smiths racing team, and we have changed anything you can ever think of has been changed on that bike. And it still chucks water out. The last 2 laps, if I went above 11,000 RPM, it would just chuck water out. So somehow it's pressurising the system. It didn't get hot, it would just chuck water out. So I have to kind of ride them last 2 laps. I rode around at half throttle and just short shifting everywhere, and hard work. It was a tough 2 laps. They seemed to take forever. But hey, all credit to Dean. They've done a fantastic job. He's got his big bike win, which he's been after, and for a while now. And now it's been, they've had their own problems in the past. Even on Monday, he probably should have won that first Superbike race, and he had a problem. So it swings and roundabouts. But I'm happy to get another podium. Great for the Smiths racing team. Great for BMW. Dunlop tyres worked awesome like they normally do. I don't know what my standing start was, but I know it was pretty fast.
Oh yeah, 130, nearly 130. It was over 134 point something.
Yeah, I figured I came up on the dash 16 minutes something, so I knew it was fast. But yeah, it's just, obviously we're gutted, but it's just the way it goes.
Peter, well done on second. Commiserations.
Thank you.
Buddy, cheers. I know. Yeah, thanks for that. So there's Peter Hickman with his take on it, and this young man, the third place again for the big man Connor Cummins. Congratulations. And the boys still looking at the suspension coming in. How was the bike?
Yeah, it was good. We had a problem mid-race, but I just had to manage it as best I possibly could. But other than that, it was a sort of a faultless race, really. I got my head down from the off, and we just settled into a nice little groove. And obviously 6 laps is a long way around here. But yeah, I just dug in as best I could and managing my boards. And I'm happy with third. Obviously, I'd love to be winning it, but we'll come back next year stronger.
Pit stops by the boys again, cracking 54.7.
Yeah, the boys they've worked so hard over winter. All the back at Padgett's and Batley there, everyone's worked so hard to get me a great package together, and you know, it shows how good they are in the pits. You know, they just know what they're doing, and it's a credit to the team.
Were you aware you could have grabbed second?
Yeah, I was on that last lap. I was noticing my boards were coming down a little bit. I think I got like minus 12 up on the mountain, but I had a bit of a push. But hey, you know, third's good enough, and we can all go for a shandy tonight.
Certainly can. What are we looking for next year already, possibly? Looking forward to it?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we've got, you know, I was sort of consolidating my position through the race, and I was using the time on the bike to sort of get some data gathered up so I can give to the boys so we can come back with a stronger plan next year. But big thanks to Malenko by Paget's racing team for everything this fortnight, and I couldn't do it without them, and all the fans around the course, and yeah, it's been a testing week.
Certainly has. You had Michael Dunlop to contend with early doors as well. He beat you into Ramsey first lap.
Yeah, I seen that. Yeah, it was tight. I was getting plus naught, and again, I was just riding to my boards. Thanks to everyone around the course for doing my boards. Yeah, brilliant.
Well done, Connor.
Thank you very much.
Cheers. Well done to Connor Cummins. Excellent stuff. And we're going to go over and speak to the team boss of Silicon, Paul. We spoke to you on the pit stop, Paul, when the time was coming down to 7.9. How does this feel for the Silicon team?
It feels amazing. As I was saying to you in the interview, before you actually advised us that would cut the lead by half, that it's the TT and anything can happen, and Dean will keep trying 100%, and it's turned in our favour this time.
It's what this place does. You know about road racing, you know about bike racing. This thing can bite you in the backside, and the next minute you're up in the air like this.
Yeah, well, there's no team experienced it more than us in the last 2 years. So yeah, brilliant.
Many congratulations, you guys.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So there's the top three, including the team boss, Tim, Paul Liddon. Let's go back to you in the tower.
Thank you very much, Chris. Excellent work down there, and a very happy Silicon engineering team. There's going to be a party and a half there for sure. And Peter Hickman there, disappointed, but second in a senior TT is nothing to be ashamed of whatsoever. A brilliant ride again, but just fortune not with him on this occasion, and that plays a big part in any big senior TT over the full race distance of 6 laps. So Dean Harrison is your Dunlop Senior TT winner on the Kawasaki, 132.891 miles per hour. And before we go through the leaderboard, let's go back down to Chris Kinley.
I'm here with Dean's dad, Conrad. How does that feel?
Well, it's absolutely brilliant, but believe it or not, I'm just waiting for Dean's brother now, because first thing Dean said when he got back is our Adrian back yet? So I've got to wait for Dean's brother and then report straight in.
How was that, though? How do you feel?
Oh, we've got the matching set, haven't we? Let's be honest. We've got this lightweight, 600, senior, and the sidecar trophy all at home. And for a family to do that is just, well, it's another bit of TT history, isn't it? I don't think the family in history has got the set.
No, I don't think so either.
Oh, I don't. And that is just... Obviously, Dean's had a bit of a raw deal. I had to win one. He had to win all the rest of them, you know what I mean?
Thanks, Conrad. Cheers.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, buddy. Cheers. Nice to speak to Conrad. Excellent stuff. Back to you, Tim, again.
Thanks very much, Chris. Let's head out to Glen Helen, actually, before we sum up everything and get a few final thoughts from Dave Christian. And Dave, as enjoyable as yesterday was with 5 races in a day over shortened distance, this is what the number of threads to a story you can get out of a 6-lap senior race, Dave Christian.
Yeah, absolutely, Tim. Yesterday was quite was quite exceptional, to be honest. Frantic Thursday, I think you called it back in the tower, and that's exactly what it was. There was no rest for the wicked yesterday. Today as well, I mean, the early start this morning threw everybody off a little bit, and then watching the race develop, and those guys... Dean Harrison and Peter Hickman have been putting on a pretty impressive display all week, really, and that came to its crescendo today. And it's a shame that it turned on a mechanical problem. But on the other hand, in preview, you guys were reminding everybody that a 6-lap race here is the ultimate challenge in motorcycle racing. It's a huge distance, and the road and the terrain do take its toll on the machinery, and that's exactly what we saw happened. I had the fingers crossed that Connor might be able to sneak a second there, but just come up 5.8 seconds short. But tremendous rides there in further down the field. Davey Todd, in the end, he was just pipped by James Hillier, who charged his way back up after that first lap mishap, whatever it was that happened. And James Hillier just pipped Davey Todd there by 2.5 seconds to 5th place. But the other guy we were following, 31, Mike Booth, who did start in 31st position, not 47th. I was reading the wrong line on my note. Mike Booth with a 14th place finish so far. And up a little bit further there, we see Davey Todd with a lap of 131.4 as well. That was impressive too. For everybody out there listening, thanks once again. We'll hopefully be talking to you again next year, God be willing. And take care, stay safe. And finally, everyone just have a little moment of silence for Daley Matheson. Thank you.
Well said, Dave Christian. Very quickly to Ramsey Hairpin, as we're on the verge of having the podium celebrations here. And thank you for your work, Roy, and your thanks to as well. I'm sure you wanted to give to various people.
Yeah, one thing about me, I'm quick with everything, but thanks to Daniel, who stood in today, Tim, who came in for Pat yesterday, Matty, our engineer, who's got colour back on his cheeks now that the computer system worked. Just one little kind of observation we've got. Dave has summed it up so well. I'd just like to think that 2019, we remember Bud Jackson with all the affection that we had over his career. Of just all the figures that we put together, we didn't include George Formby and No Limit. So for the very final time from Ramsey Hairpin, it's back to the grandstand.
Thank you, Roy. We're still waiting for the bikes to emerge from the winners' enclosure. Still bikes crossing the line to get their finishers as well. And the latest of those, Mark Ironside. And, Mark Ironside finished, and Tom Weed and Joe Ackroyd. So let's work through the leaderboard as much as we can. There's lots of applause for the guys finishing. Dean Harrison then, a race time of 1 hour, 43 minutes, 49.521 seconds. He finished 53.062 seconds ahead of number 10, Peter Hickman, and Harrison's last lap, 132.891 miles per hour. Peter Hickman's last lap, well, he, as you heard, was having to just... be half power, really. 128.531 miles per hour. And he was 5.8 seconds ahead of, in third, number 1, Connor Cummins on the Malenko by Padgett's Racing Honda. And Connor Cummins, 131.951 miles per hour on the last lap. Connor finished 27.8 seconds in front of, in fourth place, number 6, Michael Dunlop on the Tyco BMW with the lovely yellow plate with the black number 6 on it, a nod to the senior TT tradition from the Tyco team, and very nice to see as well. Michael Dunlop's last lap, 131.701 miles per hour. Michael finished 1 minute and 3.643 seconds ahead of, in sixth place, number 5, James Hillier. James Hillier, last lap of 131.597 miles per hour. Hillier was in a great battle in the latter stages with Davey Todd for 5th and 6th, and Hillier eventually took it by 2.5 seconds ahead of, in 6th place. And let's remember, this is only his second TT here. He's the quickest newcomer last year. Well done to Davey Todd on the Pens.com BMW. Davey Todd's last lap, 131.491 miles per hour. That is a brilliant performance from Davey Todd. Well, we enjoyed the sounds, didn't we? Because in 7th place was number 8, Michael Rutter on that Honda. He was 30.6 seconds down on Davey Todd, but he was 10 seconds ahead of, in 8th place, number 15, Jamie Coward. There's plenty of good feeling lower order riders finishing here, celebrating their amazing achievement as well of finishing 6 laps of the TT course. Every one of them is a hero, every one of them. So in 8th, number 15, Jamie Coward, 130.317 miles per hour, and he was 36.4 seconds ahead of, in 9th place, and I'm sure the Irishman will be very, very happy indeed. Number 22, Brian McCormack. McCormack, he was 19, his last lap was 128.589. He was 19.2 seconds ahead of, in 10th place, number 20, Dominic Herbertson. Lucas Mora, I can tell you, has finished his race, and a last lap was his quickest. He was just shy of 121 on the opening 2 laps, but the last lap, 123.65 miles per hour. Very, very respectable indeed. And I can just see number 70 across the line now, and that is Lucas Mora. And, well, let's just read that out again for Lucas as he goes into the return. 123.65 miles per hour. There he is down below. Give him a round of applause for the newcomer, Lucas Mora there. That is absolutely terrific. So Josh Daly safely home as well. Frank Gallagher, Mark Goodings, David Hewson I saw there, the flapjack man. He has made it through too. So as is normal, there's a long time in the winner's enclosure because these are the shots that really, really will give the TT a major amount of publicity around the world. It is the big, big race, the Dunlop Senior TT. So Adrian Harrison, number 53, is about to finish. So that'll be relief for Dean and also for Dad Conrad. So he is about to take the checkered flag. Adrian Harrison, here he is, crosses the line now to take the checkered flag. And I think the Harrison party can now get underway. Truly can get underway. With Adrian now safely returned. 119.79 on Adrian's last lap there. And congratulations to the whole Harrison gang. Little family from Bradford have got so many TT trophies now across all disciplines as well. Because let's not forget the classic TT as well as the TT here as well. And the sidecar, the lightweight. Tremendous achievement, really, really special. So let's go back to the leaderboard. We've given you the top 10. In 11th place was number 7, Gary Johnson. He was 32.4 seconds down on Herbertson, who was 10th. 12th was number 17, Sean Anderson. And Sean Anderson was 1 minute 17 down on Johnson. 13th place was number 16, Derek Shields, 127. And, I can see that the two brothers have just really nice that. Just exchanged greetings down there as Dino now comes out of the winner's enclosure. I can see Connor there as well. And that was nice to see a little family moment that, safely home. We've all done it. And Adrian, I'm sure, was wanting to see if Dean had managed to get the victory, which, of course, he most certainly has. I've forgotten where we got to now. I think Sean Anderson, 12th, we got to. So, number 17, Sean Anderson, 12th. 13th was number 16, Derek Shields. 14th was number 31, Mike Booth. 15th was number 25, Michael Sweeney. 16th was number 40, Horst Seiger. 17th was number 29, Mark Parrott. 18th was number 39, Joe Ackroyd. 19th, that was number 50, David Jackson. Good ride by him. And in 20th, number 33, Frank Gallagher. And go a little bit further down. In 21st position was number 34, Julian Trummer. In 22nd position, number 36, Mark Ironside. In 23rd position was number 67, Jay Lawrence. 24th position for number 55, Michael Russell. 25th was number 47, David Hewson. 26th for number 48, Tom Whedon. 27th was number 62, Richard Wilson. 28th was number 52, Mark Goodings. 29th was number 70, Lucas Mora. Great effort there. And that 123 plus mile an hour lap. 30th was number 61, and that is Josh Daly. So that is the top 30. We can go a little bit further down. 31st, these are all the finishes so far. Number 53, Adrian Harrison. Number 32nd was number 44, Morgan Gauvignon. 33rd, number 63, George Spence. And 34th, number 42, Barry Ferber. And I think that is everyone home, aside from the retirements. And I can see below us now we have got the podium celebrations for this Dunlop Senior TT about to commence, the riders together. And the garlander will be Edouard Carpentier, the general manager of Motorcycle EMEA. He is the garlander, and making his way forward now. You can see Dean Harrison chatting merrily away to the media about how the race was won. But let's now have our podium celebrations for the Dunlop Senior TT. And first of all, let's have the fanfare. And they make their way up, and the Senior Tourist Trophy is making its way up as well, and that'll be in the hands of Dean Harrison very, very shortly, once we've had the formalities of the presentation. And there is your Dunlop Senior TT podium. And let's have a big round of applause for each of these three riders. In third place, on a Honda, Connor Cummins. In second place, on a BMW, Peter Hickman. And Peter knew this feeling a year ago. The Dunlop Senior TT winner on a Kawasaki. The biggest prize in road racing goes to Dean Harrison! And there it is, the Senior TT trophy handed on to Dean Harrison. He lifts it into the air, helmet in the other hand, and he's in dreamland at the moment, in dreamland.